A finger hovers over a glowing screen, then taps down on an orange X. Have you ever been completely obsessed with something? Its name, The Dark Exploration Chronicles. Turns out it's a whole library of internet ghost stories, and lately it's blowing up. One reader can't put it down. Kim Sol-youm, hood low, scrolling the feed every night. It started as a niche site for students, then YouTube's algorithm found it and blew it wide open. Thousands of different ghost stories now, and he's read most of them. Then the feed jumps. Late at his own desk, over time again, a pale-clawed hand slides out from underneath it. "Hey, you there?" a voice murmurs, too close for comfort. "What is that?" he wonders, and doesn't dare look down. The hooded man tugs his hood back down and smiles, like he already knows how this ends. He mutters, then turns away. Meanwhile, Chapter 76 opens next, wrapped in spiderwebs and quiet warning. The station's monitors flicker with static nobody can explain. Nearby, a gift shop sells plush rabbits and wolves under a TV that glows a little too bright. He's read this chapter a dozen times, but the dolls still feel staged. A schoolgirl passes as the hooded figure crouches in the dark, then rounds on two students who bumped him. "Hey, what are you doing?" he asks, flat and slow. The boy blurts an apology, the girl just stares, and Sol-youm's read this exact scene 20 times. His hand closes on something red and glowing beside a folded talisman. Bystanders whisper guesses, a reseller, or a gift for his nephew, obviously. It's all for himself, it turns out, and he walks off with a full basket. Daily life flickers on screen. Of course, the hooded man just checks his phone again. Somewhere else, a badge flashes in hand. Daydream Co. Field Exploration Team. Kim Sol-youm, employee. Was something like this always going to happen, he wonders, without knowing why. Now Sol-youm stands face to face with the hooded man and finally asks out loud. "Yes," is all the hooded man says. The reply comes back branding him a liar. The frame can't hold together after that, ripping into color and static. Somewhere in the wreck of it, a figure in a dark hood breaks down crying, one tear finally slipping free. "Pull yourself together," the glitch text begs, over and over until the words stop making sense. Meanwhile, Sol-youm's own tear falls under a banner glowing congratulations. He's in a suit now, and it isn't stopping either. Where is he? An auditorium, maybe? He sits alone among empty chairs while a faceless man on stage grins under a new employee orientation banner. Turns out his phone already flagged the file. An orientation deck some admin account recommended. Cartoon mascots burst on screen to promise there's more. Of course there's more. A masked man leans into the mic, teasing whatever comes next. Two more shapes lean close in the rain, faces too dark to read. Now the company's name spells itself across the sky. Daydream Co. Ltd. It's a familiar name, Jahyun mutters, and something in his face goes tight. Hands crack open a black case stamped with a crest. On stage, the host laughs through point 2 of his pitch. Not comforting. So here's the team he's just joined. One of 5 under Daydream's development department. A name with real weight in these records. People just call it the Suicide Squad. And yeah, you heard that right. The Field Exploration Team? He's never heard of it. And the suit beside him hasn't either. Honestly, a pharmaceutical company doesn't run a squad like that. Well, the world glitches red at the edges again. A banner floats over Jaehan, warning of a short probationary period. Something jolts through him, and he snaps upright as red strokes slash across his back. A hand grips a mic, ready for whatever comes next. Then it just snaps its fingers once, sharp. A warning drops over the sleeping rows. They'll catch every single freeloader riding for free. The lights cut, and passengers murmur about the blackout, about a door that closed on its own. 2 glowing hands push out of the dark, one on each side. Then a scream. A blade cuts into frame, and something's already wrong. Cut to a train car, passengers glitching red and white like a bad signal. 2 men sit facing each other, and one of them can't hold still. Meanwhile, claw marks rip across the window, over and over. Something out there wants in. Now the intercom clicks on, calm and corporate. It thanks them for riding with Abyss Transit, and says this train won't be stopping. It tells them to relax and listen close for what comes next. A screen nearby glitches into garbage, and someone flinches back from it. A rookie named Youngin Go asks the obvious question, did the train even move? Honestly, denial is doing more work right now than the engine. White-haired and grim, Jaehan Lee already knows better. This isn't new technology, he mutters, jaw tight. Beside him, another suit asks flatly if he saw this coming. For a second, the world blurs to fog, trees, and drifting specks of light. Turns out, that's our guy. The badge reads Daydream Co., Field Exploration Team, employee Kim Sol-youm. Static swallows the frame in red, and the truth lands hard. Field Exploration Team, in a death survival game. A hand grips the pole. The announcement plays again. This stop is sorrow. Feet step forward into light that's too sharp to be normal. Of course, no one else notices the passengers fading in and out around him. Only he does. He straightens his tie, checks his badge, still just an office worker underneath it all. Well, rewind a few hours. A long, exhausting commute through a rain-soaked city gets him here. He drags his feet, already thinking about bed, except there's still laundry waiting. He must have dozed off, he figures, because when his eyes open, he's inside the train. Wait, where is he? The passengers around him are pale, faceless outlines, and this is nothing like a normal commute. So the station sign glitches past outside, letters scrambled into nonsense. He looks down and a thought lands cold. Is this the company? A wall of faces flashes by, each one crossed out in red. Someone up top is running this ghost story as a filter, thinning out the new recruits before they even start. The next stop has a name of its own, Sorrow Station. For every passenger whose final destination reads Sorrow, this ride only goes one way. Now the screen doors begin to slide open, slow, spilling light through the gap. Closer up, that light only keeps bleeding wider. Doors close in 30 seconds, the warning reads. No turning back after that. A group of silhouettes lines up at the doorway, staring down into a smoke-choked dark. Overhead, a system window flickers to life. Just one word, sorrow. A voice reads the platform sign out loud and doesn't buy it. Sorrow Station. It looks like any normal stop, so someone asks why they can't just get off right here. Now the intercom warns that closing time is coming and Jaehyun watches it from behind, urging them to hurry. Somewhere behind him, a man in a coat mutters a curse under his breath. Another one scans the platform and still can't shake it. Everything's normal except that station name. Nearby, a man laughs too loud and raises a fist, while the guy behind him just stares, flat and blank. Meanwhile, a suit stands frozen near the restroom sign, badge glinting on its lanyard, one hand pressed to his own chest. Down the platform, another man walks off carrying a bag, while someone with dark hair watches him go. The young one turns and says something toward Jaehyun, who's barely visible at the frame's edge, just a flash of white hair. His hand snaps up near his own collar, jacket torn at the seam. Turns out the elevator isn't waiting on anyone. The doors start sliding shut, a warning flashing below them, and a blonde man and Jaehyun both bolt for the gap, yelling that the doors are closing. One man throws himself through the shrinking gap, legs still mid-air as the doors nearly clip him. He lands wincing, teeth gritted, something already caught him on the way through. Honestly, that grin doesn't belong to someone who just made it. He raises a hand like he's greeting them, or mocking them, and the man beside him goes stiff with unease. Somewhere close, fists pound against a door in blind panic. One man turns toward the door and snarls, "It's all because of you." Then something shifts, dark branch-like shadows crawling across the frame like the story itself is about to turn. Two display boards flicker and dissolve into garbage text, red and orange static eating the words. Down a dim blue hallway, Solium asks if the people who stayed on the train will be okay. His coworker shrugs it off. It was their choice, he says. They'll figure it out. Well, a voice starts gloating from somewhere behind the dripping black water. They should have gotten off when they were told, it says, and now they'll just sit there crying. Don't you agree? The words bleed down in red. Naturally, the smirk rising out of the black liquid belongs to Jaehyun, ink pouring over his head like a crown. He warned them. He's not sorry. Solium catches a jagged shape looming right above him and freezes. What is that? Hanging there in the dark? It doesn't wait for an answer. It drops, tearing through the air in a streak of red. The strike rips past close enough to graze him, and whatever it is, it doesn't circle back for more. He staggers, drenched in his own scream, eyes blown wide. How is any of this real? Somewhere close, another voice cracks. What is that? Nobody answers. A man bolts down the corridor screaming, others right on his heels. No stopping now, with the walls already dripping blood. It pools and stretches across the dark tile in glossy streaks, then starts falling from the ceiling too, heavier by the second. One man looks up just as a dark, wet chunk drops toward his face, and the scream barely makes it out in time. Somewhere close, another voice begs for help, already swallowed by the noise. The frame breaks into a violent blur of red and teal, no shape left to hold on to. Just noise, just chaos. Another scream cuts off mid-word, swallowed by the dark. Then it's quiet, which is worse. Solium's face goes rigid, eyes locked forward, counting who's still breathing. So there's no arguing with it. Choose wrong, and the wall turns solid red. No one gets a second try. Everything glitches, and when it clears, a hooded shape is leaning right over him. One rider clocks it. Everyone else just keeps riding. Black spatter rises off the floor and knots itself into something clawed, maybe skull-shaped, gone before anyone's sure. Silver drips turn to blood, streaking down a corridor that wasn't bloody a second ago. Meanwhile, the platform floods red right as the train pulls out, on schedule. Departure doesn't care what just happened. Now, rewind a step. This ghost story didn't start on that train. Some office worker in a tie gets swallowed by green fire mid-commute, same as it happened to him. The announcement loops, same dead-calm script it always uses. Solium sits between two strangers, hands folded. Sweat gives him away. How great would it be, he wonders, to actually be that fearless? Honestly, there's just one problem, a very crucial one. Of course, the reaction's always the same. A subway or the field team, it's always him. Same guy, same despair, panel after panel. Then just feet hanging in the black. No clue if they're alive. Turns out our boys fainted 100 times. All at one cute, harmless ghost. The instant Art shows up, he's useless. He's never once managed a single image in his own stories. A ghost even critiques his method. Stories need images to land. Fine, he snaps back. I'm a ghost story you wrote. Naturally, his friends won't drop it. His own name literally means goosebumps, and he still can't sit through a horror movie. They joke about forcing him to watch one anyway. anyway, and sorry is all he's got. Well, it's just hands over his face. Whatever's next, he can't say it out loud. Back on the train, a caption counts who's left. Current survivors, this car only. So who's even left and how? Chapter 8 starts right where a grinning poster still watches from the wall. So, somewhere past the dark, a system voice reminds him the doors are on his right. Sol-yoom lies flat against the tilted floor, red light bleeding across the ceiling. Grudge station this time, he wonders? Like a grudge someone's holding? He sighs, pushing himself up while his notepad glows untouched beside him. Nearby, two co-workers ease a dazed woman off the floor. Take your time, one tells her. Are you okay? A tearing sound rips the air, and a glowing disc drops out of nowhere. Sol-yoom reaches up and catches it, light washing over his face. Rain-thin light catches a red mark on his sleeve as he turns the thing in his hand. A grip tuck? He mutters. What's a grip tuck even doing here? He studies it, smiling faintly. No idea why. Then a countdown blinks above him. 12 hours, 13 minutes. Dropping. Now somewhere else entirely. A girl catches a ghost staring back from her own reflection. A voice bleeds out of a red rift, calling her an explorer of the darkness. This, it says, is only a department store. Another girl leans in to scare her friend and freezes instead. The handprints on the wall are real blood. Turns out the whole thing is a themed pop-up store event. Apocalypse Prophecy. Darkness Exploration Records. A hooded figure walks past two girls laughing in the crowd, face hidden, back turned. A narrator lays out the premise. An online ghost story universe built around exploring supernatural darkness. The frame pushes through stacked phone screens, timer blinking to 0, dropping into the real thing. The hooded figure's face is tight with sweat as he steps into it for real. He holds himself together on nothing but office dignity, he tells himself. Naturally, a staff member waves him toward a booth streaked with blood. No one else seems to notice. She grins, promising a lucky roulette where every slot hides its own prize tier. She points him to a glowing button. Press it to stop the wheel whenever he likes. He grips it, waiting. The wheel flashes and he jolts back, blindsided. Huh? Of course, ghosts drift right behind them as two coworkers clap him on the back, laughing. One asks his name outright, and it lands on screen. Kim Sol-youm. Well, the machine hums on, musical notes drifting through a dim purple room. Light beams down through the dark, and letters spell out ID. A badge waits below, glowing. He lifts it and reads, Daydream Company, Field Exploration Team, Kim Sol-youm, Employee. Of course, Jaehan's eyes go wide at the badge. Daydream Co., he blurts, one of the 3 biggest names in the whole records. Sol-youm stays quiet and lets the badge do the talking. The story cuts to grainy silhouettes, faceless names who wore the same badge before him. Every legend he ever read about got recruited here first. Then the screen fades to black, holding its breath. A jagged hole tears open, purple light bleeding around one word. Liar. The same accusation that tore his world apart the day he landed here. Something about the badge yanks him backward. Floor and ceiling swap, the whole world running black and wrong. Pink light flares behind his eyes as the spin hits. Then it clears, and he's upright again, back in the lecture hall, day 1. Well, someone flicks a coin-shaped badge, and his phone lights up cold. System text explains it plainly. It turns memories into text he can read. Back on the train, his fist tightens on his knee. Gold light blurs past and his face goes slack with shock. He checks the screen. Welcome to Abyss Transit Corporation, it reads. Darkness Exploration Records. Employee code QTurn-D16. Turns out the records hold hundreds of ghost stories written by hundreds of strangers. Way too many to memorize on command. No way to know every right answer on the spot. But he has this. His eyes narrow and an idea locks into place. I've got it. He checks his phone once more and straightens his tie. Just like that, the mask slides back on. Now he's back on the train. Nearby, a green-haired passenger grips his head. A blonde one just stares at the floor. Across the aisle, a man's gone pale and glassy-eyed. The woman beside him watching, scared. Grudge station, she repeats, shaking. Like a grudge somebody's actually holding. Sol-youm's already passed the name. How does he get every one of them off at the right stop? Honestly, he feels the same fear they do. He just can't show it. Worse, he can't get off this train alone, not without the rest of them moving too. Now he sees it. A station wall packed edge to edge with human eyes, all of them blinking. Worse, the whole station's upside down, and fainting means a 90% chance he never gets out. A warning flashes red just for the word. How does he talk every one of them into moving as one? He stands calm in the wreckage while everyone else slumps against the walls, drained, so he lays it out plain. One shot to get them all moving. And escape together, he says, flat and certain. Turns out the item has a name. Memorial Grip Talk, a D-class piece of kit. It reads memories straight into text. No pictures needed. Standard issue for grade 9 officers at the agency. His hobby just got a filing number. Now Kim Sol-youm keeps his voice low. Control 1 or 2 and the rest will follow. Then the train lurches to a stop under him, dread beating his brain to the punch. What now, he wonders before he can even place what's wrong. Nearby, a woman in a suit checks her phone and exhales, close to tears. Across from her, a haggard man rubs his eyes like he's about to speak. His badge shows only one cut-off character, same as everyone else here. Honestly, she says, the whole thing reminds her of ghost stories she watches on WeTube. First, the lecture hall turned into a subway, she explains, hands shaking around her badge. She's building up to the part she doesn't want to say. Then her memory glitches into a smear of red and blue, the words falling apart mid-sentence. She never gets past, and then people just before her voice cuts out entirely. Behind her, unnoticed, a pale masked face leans in and mouths one word, die. She claps a hand over her mouth, looking sick just from the memory. Solyum stays calm, watching her without a flicker. I want to throw up too, he admits, flat. Just like that, she leans back, playing brave, insisting he hasn't seen her faint while being level-headed yet. A big dramatic shadow looms behind her, undercutting the whole boast, bold for someone shaking. Meanwhile, a new voice cuts through the car, some stranger saying excuse me to no one in particular. Behind them, a glowing sign flickers with words nobody can quite read. Of course, the brown-haired man beside them just smirks. Technically, he says, wasn't it Solyum who sat down next to him first? Then the floor around the seat catches his eye. Cracked, reddish, wrong, something violent already happened here. The man's smile drops as he asks where Solyum got that. Eyes wide, hand half raised. Solyum starts to explain, but the words catch in his throat. Then, casual as anything, the man offers a hand and a name instead. I'm Baek-Sahyun. Solyum freezes. Wait, is that the Baek-Sahyun, he wonders, before the badge around the man's neck even confirms it. He's a named employee. The wiki confirms it fast. Baek-Sahyun, Daydream Company employee, final rank section chief. 106 explorations logged, 17 of them special cases. No wonder the whole car just changed temperature. Everything fades to red for a second, a blank breath before the next fact lands. The ones who came before him either cleared their ghost stories clean and quit early, or they didn't. The unlucky ones died fast. He decides names are only fair now. I'm Kim Solyum, he says, steady, even though nothing about this moment feels steady at all. His hand drifts to his tie, adjusting it without thinking, a small O slipping out. Then the scene fades to a hazy dim nothing, carrying them toward whatever comes next. The train rolls on, commuters murmuring until the speaker cuts in. This stop is Rapture. Rapture Station. One woman goes pale on the spot, and below her, a man's head snaps up. Huh? Doesn't rapture sound like a good thing, someone asks, and another voice offers, maybe. No. The stations keep sliding by. Blue, then Cochlea, named for body parts like some kind of corpse chart. Someone already tried leaving at Cochlea, and the system doesn't soften the result. Blood sprays clean across his silhouette. More silhouettes glow faint under another numbered station, and another failed escape gets logged beneath them. Turns out these names aren't random either. Killers, feelings, body parts, take your pick. A shadow looms behind one more silhouette, unclear if it's even a threat. Solyum runs the numbers in his head, 56 cases deep, and decides a station's name means nothing for who makes it out. Of course, this is the one that looks perfectly normal. Sunlight, tile, nothing wrong at all. A companion wants to step off and go look for whoever's missing. A hand reaches for the door, ready to move. Then a voice cuts through everything. Please wait, Vortensang. Solyum freezes mid-shout, eyes burning red. His badge swings into view, plain black and white. Kim Solyum. He gasps, flinches back, wide-eyed, startled by something just out of frame. Now someone warns her flat out, is she really going to risk her life that easily? An employee doesn't wait for an answer and yanks another rider by the collar. He sneers, is this a game show? Did somebody feed her a hint? Then he lifts one finger like it's already decided. Announcement, he says. Solyum's badge hangs there again, something blade-shaped looming right behind it in the dark. Two riders catch what he does next and freeze, mouths open, eyes wide. Is this really the move, or just the coward's old habit of running numbers under pressure? Meanwhile, the intercom just keeps talking. This train doesn't stop, so listen carefully to every word of it. The backdrop behind it doesn't even look like a train car anymore, more like dark water rippling in its place. A tired, uneasy young man stands ready to speak, but nothing comes out yet. The group flinches all at once. One figure in the back has a stare that's just wrong, blank, maybe not even human. He doesn't wait to find out, moving fast, coat snapping behind him, faster than anyone expects. Then he's just walking away, voice trailing into nothing. So he starts and lets it hang. He looks down, grim, and says the word out loud. Responsibility. Behind him, the space blurs into something like a starlit sky, empty and cold. Honestly, it happens too fast. Two men grab his arms and haul him between them mid-sentence. I was planning on, he manages, and that's all that gets out. Next thing he's on the ground, telling himself this should be enough. Now nobody can be mad at him for stopping people from getting off. Then the real problem lands. He grabs another man's collar, shouting that that the front car already got off. Bad sign, someone's face goes pure shock, lit up red like a warning light already going off. Is this really what responsibility costs? Solim watches through the shattered divider, the woman behind him gone still. Will they be okay? Meanwhile, down the stairwell, two who broke rank get flung backward into gold light, tumbling through open air. One of them's laughing like it's still a joke. Then claw marks tear across the dark, scratch too fast to be writing. A shoe sinks into rising gold, and the gold answers back. It spreads fast, bubbling, climbing the floor like it's alive. A young man screams, arms thrown wide, already caught. A spike of molten gold rips upward between them. My body's melting, he screams, fingers already curled into claws. Now another man drops upside down into the swirling gold, hands still grasping at nothing solid. Somewhere below, a voice screams for help and gets swallowed whole. Then just a broken syllable, cut off before it finishes. One more stretches both hands toward the glowing tear, phone still swinging on its lanyard. It isn't enough. The gold closes over him for good. So inside the train itself, the doors start to glow, cracks spidering the walls like the car's coming apart. A hand rises out of that same gold surge right where the doors should open. Something with wing-like coattails lunges from the light as a body falls past it. Behind it looms a hulking shape wrapped in tubing, gold leaking from every seam. A warped face floats up through the ooze, one eye fixed on nothing. Turns out that same jagged symbol is burning into the ceiling above Sol-Eum's own car. Is it already inside with them? Across the aisle, a woman's hand shoots straight up. Beside her, someone's fingers clamp down on a sleeve, knuckles gone white. Then the light flares and the cracked pattern slams home like a blow. Somewhere in the wreck, a hand claws for another that's already pulling back. You said you'd take responsibility, someone chokes out, and the whole picture dissolves into smoke and dying light. Meanwhile, a nervous passenger grips the calmer man's shoulder, asking if he can really promise somewhere safe. Yes, the man says, one hand pressed flat over his own chest. It's killing him, and he doesn't let it show. A young suit calls him amazing, sir, and gets back only a confused stare. Someone else reacts the same way. So sudden, so fast, like it came out of nowhere. Sit down, the announcement orders. Now, down by their feet, something thuds, sharp and wrong. Then alarm bursts through the car. A fight, next car over. Through the doors, fists are locked in collars, but the announcement said stay seated. The screen calms to a slow blue-purple haze, one breath before the next hit. Then it breaks. Red streaks tear the panel like claws, and someone screams as the blow lands. White floods the frame, blood red at the edges. Now, a system message flashes over the wreck. It's safe to stand up now. A second line follows, just as cold, thanking them for their cooperation. A woman screams that it happened exactly like the announcement warned. A man grabs her before she can bolt, while a child cries for its mother nearby. One passenger says it out loud. The warnings are the only thing keeping them alive. Solium lets out a heavy breath, sweat cutting through the strain on his face. Focus only on persuading them, he tells himself. Nothing else matters right now. Again? Solium grips the handrail, disbelief on his face, while the woman beside him just sobs. The car dims red as a new announcement crackles on. There's a lost property, it says, and it wants it handed to the station staff. Solium's jaw tightens. He already knows announcements don't ask nicely. Turns out there's an escape case buried in the old records if he can place it. The next line teases before it answers, the lost property is a 20-something. Type A, it reads next, and Sol-Eum goes still. Is it describing him? Meanwhile, static swallows the screen before the answer can land, and the same loop starts on the tannoy. Find the lost property, it repeats, hand it to the station staff. The train car sits wrong around them, one door smeared dark at the edges. A young man snaps his head around, spooked by something off-panel. Somewhere close, a search bar lights up. Darkness Exploration Records, guaranteed escape ticket. Well, 3 passengers in matching brown suits sit stiff in the dim car, fists stay clenched, one woman close to tears. One of them turns the clue over. Is type A just a blood type? Naturally, if only one person escapes first, he reasons, the group turns on itself. So one man asks another how old he is, half small talk, half sizing him up. 30s, comes the answer. He looks younger than that. Type B, the younger one adds, so he doesn't qualify. A single drop slides down his neck. His eyes snap up, sharp and sudden. What did he just realize? So the train rolls into Anger Station. Somewhere in the red light, a stranger just smiles, wrong and easy, like this is the good part. The next announcement cuts off mid-word. He leans in close, shadow swallowing his eyes, and asks it straight, type A, right? Solium's mind catches on it. Why does that matter now? He keeps his voice flat. Yes. The system repeats itself. Anger station. While another passenger nearby grips his phone like it might save him. He turns too fast near the curtain. A coat cracks through the air like a whip. A voice from nowhere lands flat. That's too bad. Then the strike hits. No warning at all. His head snaps back, blood already in his eye. 3 faces freeze mid-breath as the blood keeps falling. Someone's still screaming. Well, he's alone now, swaying under the red light, blood soaking his hand. A woman off-panel is screaming, asking why he just just grabbed his own eye. Someone crouches beside him and asks if he's alright. Then he goes over backward, upside down, still bleeding from the socket, and someone grabs for him, too late. Turns out there was a rumor going around the car. Give up an eye and the train lets you off. He's the one who believed it. Now he can't understand why no one else will risk it too. Meanwhile, 2 other passengers catch a different rule entirely. Turn in the lost property and the train lets you go. The system repeats it cold and exact. Find it, hand it to staff at the next stop. Then Static eats the car. Of course, someone nearby just shrugs it off. People would rather anyone else take the fall, he says, flat and unbothered. Wrong smile for the moment. Something clicks for Sol-Eum, and it isn't good. Wait, isn't that Viper? He'd figured Baek Sahin for a green recruit, harmless, barely worth a second look. Naturally, the wiki entry on the real one reads nothing like that. Honestly, you don't want to be on this guy's bad side, not with him waving at the platform screen like it's picture day. Down the car, a scuffle breaks out, and someone yanks him back mid-strike. Even the bystanders think he didn't need to go that far. Something snags in Sol-Eum's memory. He saw this before, right around here. He digs into the vent grate, fingers closing around a sealed bottle. The label's blunt about it. 27, female, type A. Now Baek Sahin turns the bottle so its label catches the light. Re positive, he reads, one detail the vent didn't already give away. Somewhere nearby, another passenger presses 2 fingers to his own eye, waiting his turn. A knock echoes twice through the car. Then nothing, just a shape in the dark, holding still. Turns out the vent wasn't finished with him. Wrapped in the same cloth sits a sealed glass jar. Something pale drifts inside the liquid. An eye, a real one, floating whole. An eye, he breathes, and the question just hangs there. If this thing was sitting in a vent the whole time, nobody needed to cut out their own. Meanwhile, somewhere else on this train, a pink-haired man stands alone in a hallway that shouldn't exist. The walls glitch around him, streaked with warped light. Legs move through that same broken space below, one slow step at a time. A message glows above his bowed head. Thank you very much for your cooperation. It should sound kind. It doesn't. Somewhere else, a wide eye fills with tears, thin lines streaking down like rain. So the sky bleeds from dark to gray, and the scene resets. Back in the train car, passengers jolt upright, alarm spreading face to face. Sol-Eum studies the woman beside him, notes something looks damaged, then asks straight out if she once worked in medicine. A faint scar sits near his own eye, though his calm doesn't slip. This stop is Hatred, the announcement says. Hatred Station. Sol-Eum's calm breaks. He sits up sharp and the woman beside him watches him, worried now. Of course she notices. She asks, eyes closed, if this is getting to be a bit much. Her smile back sits a shade too calm. Since the end of life is death, he thinks, isn't death itself a trigger word? What if a stop uses that word next? He never says it out loud. Speaking felt too close to dying. Mist rolls in, swallowing the shape of a half-seen speech bubble. Someone else sits calm nearby, eyes shut, smiling faintly, too faintly. Overhead, the ceiling glitches into static, the whole train stuttering like a bad signal. Then the intercom lays out the rules, plain as static. Stay in your seat or find the lost property. Follow every instruction and your safety is guaranteed. Above the seats, an SOS box glows, just in case that guarantee doesn't hold. Not everyone gets that guarantee. A young man steps off at the wrong stop, and a ghostly face looms straight over him, screaming. Beside him, a woman already lies unconscious. Wrong stations kill, no exceptions. The train speeds toward a bright light, swallowing the tunnel ahead. Whatever this destination really means, the tracks are already answering, converging dead ahead into that glow. At Blue Station, it wasn't luck. Anyone without something blue on them died there. At the station named for a serial killer, almost everyone walked free. 2 more passengers stand marked now, pale X's over their faces. Because they'd killed, the reason begins, and then it's gone. Naturally, next stop lights up blood red down the sign. Peace. Peace Station. There, a woman hauls up a gray-haired man by the collar. His eyes half-lidded, glassy, barely holding on. Whatever just happened to him, it isn't over yet. So the panic turns physical. A woman puts her heel into a man's ribs. The pale-haired bystander behind them doesn't even flinch. Then Sol-Eum calls it before anyone else does. This is our stop, he says, smiling like it's nothing. That smile is way too calm, and it rattles the woman standing behind him. Word already going around paints Baek Sahin 2 ways. The easy smile up front, something colder right underneath it. Honestly, hunting for a feeling nobody in this car has sounds like the worst job interview ever. Even so, Jaehyun's calm smirk stands out against all the sweat around him. Now Sol-Eum stares into the dim blue light, guarded and worn out. He straightens his torn collar like that'll hold him together. What's actually waiting past this car? The train just keeps barreling forward, headlights bleeding red through the dark, especially now. He thinks they're past the worst of it. Then a pale hand lunges out of the blank face thing beside him. Sol-Eum reels back, blood already on his face. He gets them clear. Coworkers bow low, stammering out thanks like he just pulled off a miracle. Then 2 of them vanish through a dark doorway ahead before anyone can process it. Naturally, his own face gives nothing away. Narrowed eyes, flat expression, same as always. Meanwhile, up ahead, the peaceful sign lies smashed and bled over. Peaceful, right. The group freezes at the wreckage. One man's face is split open, blood still running down it. Turns out the door ahead spills straight into red. Blood, someone whispers. A whole sea of it. This has to be the right way, right? A woman flinches back with a shout, hand thrown up defensively. Behind her, a man just stands there, tie straight, saying nothing. In his head, Solium replays the same question. Was he actually calm back there, or just better at hiding it? Someone once told him no, he wasn't like that. Now the debate turns to who's actually worth following. I'd rather listen to a good person, comes the answer, flat and certain. Cracks spread across the corridor floor, dried blood packed into every seam of it. The whole hallway feels like it's holding its breath. Well, a lone woman keeps walking through it anyway. Pale skin glowing against the dark. She just keeps walking. Everyone, over here, a voice finally calls out, and the group starts pulling back together. Then someone says his name out loud. I also trust you, Solium, the gray-haired man says, bruised but grinning, urging him not to hesitate on his account. Solium just swallows and says okay, not admitting he wasn't hesitating for anyone. He was just too scared to step off. The group huddles close. If they all get off together here, someone says, they'll be safe. Sweat cuts through blood still drying on the wall behind them. One order passes low through the huddle. Just focus on the feeling of going up. Dark shapes flicker at the edge of the corridor. Then footsteps, slow ones, getting closer. Now the wall ahead bristles with talismans, hundreds of them, layered thick. Past it, a cracked exit sign glows gold, ringed in warding paper. Above them, the ceiling reads wrong. No open sky, just a grid of faint stars boxed inside a dome. Then someone's eyes flare red, fist clenching around a single falling tear. One man claps a hand over his own eye and starts counting under his breath. 2, 3. His crewmate can only stare, alarmed, not understanding why. Why is he counting at all? The number keeps climbing off to the side. 4. Then a woman picks it up, grinning in a way that doesn't match the fear in the room. 6, 7. Rows of chairs packed with fixed, laughing faces. One man alone keeps his hand pressed to his chest. Why is he the only one who notices? Meanwhile, fog rolls in and swallows the corridor whole. Now, past that fog, a host beams into his microphone. That is a truly remarkable record, he crows. He turns to a listener shown only as a silent black circle and gets nothing back. Somewhere in the crowd, someone mutters, wondering what HR will make of it. So, with no one reacting, the host tries a sharper angle, red lit and unreadable. Why not just name the top elite among them? The frame cuts to an empty chair, someone's feet planted beside it. Jae-hun Lee looks over, calm as ever. So he's from a different department, he says. What a shame. One thought won't leave him. Is this actually happening? A grinning, painted-faced man drops a gift bag into someone's hands and pats his head like a kid. Graduate, he says. Haha. Alone under the spotlight, the recipient doesn't smile back. I'm not happy about this at all, he says flatly. Jae-hun Lee's hand closes on a blade near his own shoulder. Someone else is told to take a good look inside the bag and freezes. A clawed shadow looms just past his eyes. A man laughs into the mic. What? Then the card flips to the next name, Baek Sa-hen. The announcer starts again. Now then, next is. A blue-haired recruit stiffens, her hand clenching at her collar, knuckles gone pale. Another man crouches over an open black bag, smiling in a way that comforts no one nearby. Turns out, off to the side, 2 badge-wearing employees are piecing it together. Maybe the longest survivors are simply the ones stuck longest inside the story. One figures. Time flows differently on every train. The room narrows down to legs, posture, and ID badge glinting alone against black. Someone else is about to be singled out. Then the whole frame goes white. Now the rain doesn't stop. And up on the platform, the speaker isn't finished. Rows of graduates sit soaked, waiting to hear who really earned this. Wait a minute, the woman running the ceremony cuts in. Not every graduate here, she says, worked equally hard for this moment. Someone always finds a free ride, and fairness, she insists, comes first. Pink light flares around her face in a jagged V. Something is answering her words. Across the room, a face splits into a wide grin. Too many teeth. 2 graduates flip upside down, oily rainbow light pouring between them. The same iridescent rot spreads wall to wall, swallowing the space between them. Tendrils crawl up a man's neck while his one visible eye goes dark. Then blackout. So, when the room settles, only 13 recruits are left in their seats. How many more chairs used to be full? Everyone else just isn't there. The masked host covers his mouth and welcomes them, praising their excellent results. One recruit staggers back, sweat pouring from something pale slumped nearby. From above, the empty rows only look wider. In one chair, a hooded robe hangs dripping with nobody inside it. Then a hand shoots up out of nowhere, grabbing at empty air. Solium blurts it out before he can stop himself. Can they just take the welfare deal and resign safely? The host only grins wider, lifting the mic to answer. Nearby, someone murmurs it under their breath. The whip has passed. Meanwhile, a small glass bottle glows next, swirling like a captured galaxy. This time, they call it the wish ticket. 2 suited onlookers look up at it and go pale. Is it even real, they whisper, or one more company lie? Of course, this is the real power of a wish ticket, they're told. Teams with excellent evaluations earn theirs twice as fast as everyone else. Light rains down over were 4 masked figures on one team, all reaching for it together. Turns out the 10 fastest recipients ever were all from the field exploration team. Anyone wearing that badge has better odds than anyone else. Handy that. Off to the side, Solium's eyes narrow in the shadow. Is a wish ticket even worth what it costs? Nearby, smoke coils behind a purple-haired man like something taking shape, a small figure flickering below him. He peers over his raised collar, eyes wide, bracing for whatever's coming. So somebody finally asked the question nobody wants to say out loud. Can a wish ticket actually bring the dead back to life? He raises a hand like he's casting a spell. Tie torn half off, his face already braced for the answer. Cut to black, then a full musical number just to answer him. Spotlight, open arms, big finish. Impossible. A coworker's eyes go wide, remembering the fine print on every wish ticket. 2 faces share one panel, one calm, one razor sharp, both bracing for what's coming. Between them, a collar and tie sit buttoned tight, waiting for the same news. Now the host asks the only question that matters. Shall we make the final decision? Meanwhile, Solium's the one who actually has to answer it. He drifts weightless past a sign glowing one word, choice. Then blinks and he's on a train seat, staring at a mask that wasn't there a second ago. Since when does saying yes to a job come with props like this? He bows his head. He can't believe the day's actually come for this. A gift bag opens, a hand reaching up from the dark below it. Inside sits a black mask on its strings, an envelope tucked beneath, sinister eye cutouts and all. He turns a business card over in his hand, the one the host said to look closely at. Later he decides, and then turns out that mask belongs to something bigger. A hand lifts it and the footer underneath reads Darkness Exploration Records, Daydream Company. Limited up close, it's carved sharp purple-black, built to cut a silhouette that isn't human. Honestly, part of him pictures taking the offer and just walking, waving goodbye to everyone with a grin. The real him, purple-lit and grim beside that fantasy, isn't going anywhere. The city below warps into darkness, phenomena scattered across every block of it. He's a coward by his own admission, and cowards don't last long in a place like this. So how is he supposed to survive a world built entirely out of this? Liquid spills upward, gets bottled, corked, sealed like a spell in a jar. Light beams down through the haze. It's not this world anymore, it's an entirely different one. Naturally, the higher-ups feel it too. Manager Lee Ja-hyun runs a hand through his hair, jaw tight. Baek Sa-hyun just sits at his desk, calm as ever, reading the paperwork. Solium lifts the black mask to his own face. It's called customization, built to reshape itself around whoever's wearing it. The second it settles, horns push through the eye holes and Rodeer is born. Of course the system doesn't waste a beat. A ripple runs through the frame, then the banner drops. Congratulations, it says. Employment confirmed. Welcome back to the company. 2 masked coworkers face each other now. Green eyes on one side, horns and a single red eye on the other. Then a notification blinks. New goods unlocked. Badge on, eyes shut, he rides the company shuttle like any other new hire. Later, once he's actually alone, he'll deal with today. Then HR's welfare pitch lights up his phone, all smiles about free perks. Of course there's a catch waiting in the fine print. Meanwhile, something saucer-shaped drifts under the night sky, gone before he can place it. Down at street level, Youngin goes already grinning, sparkly-eyed. This whole thing excites her. He presses the elevator button and greets her with a flat hello. You got housing support too, Solium? She asks, wheeling her suitcase in beside him. He says yes. She's really moving in. Later, alone, he finally opens his own file to check. His last logged update, college graduation, nothing since. Family contacts, empty, every entry wiped clean. What happened to the people who used to know him? Someone across the room clocks his face going still. Something else is watching too. A company rep grins into the mic, pitching the new housing support program like a prize. Turns out 7 of the 13 recruits already signed up. One coworker can't stop pointing at her own lanyard, thrilled by the number. His ID badge catches the light. Kim Sol-youm, still just a name on a lanyard. Someone nearby smirks like they know something he doesn't. He just stares back, tie loose, too tired to care. That night, a stranger sits cross-legged in midair over his bed, phone in hand, like it's nothing. Roommate is the only word his gut supplies, before his brain even catches up. Wait, his actual real-life roommate is Baek Sa-hyun? Honestly, the silence just sits there. Neither man touches it. Across the table, a coworker's phone buzzes once, and his face goes tight. Somewhere in that hush, someone finally breathes the name. Baek Sa-hyun. His stare cuts back sharp, one eye caught behind a glare of glass. Nothing about it reads friendly. He turns to face a hazy, particle-thick dark, shapes too vague to name. Close by, manager Lee Ja-hyun spins around at a sharp shout. Another coworker sits rigid at a car window, a faint scar by his eye, bracing for something. Baek Sa-hyun corners some junior with a lazy question. Was it really that fun, watching someone's eye get gouged out? The kid drops to his knees, gripping his boss's leg, completely lost for words. Baek Sa-hyun's eyes flash red and wide, something colder looking out from behind them. Yeah, he smirks. It was pretty fun. Now he lies back, wondering if this is what people call a dopamine rush. Thanks for the show, he mutters. Across from him, the other guy's sweating despite his calm voice. He says he'd love to work together, wants to see something like that again. Dead silence answers him. He tugs at his collar, remarking it's been a while since he's seen a show that entertaining. That's what keeps his job interesting, he figures. His eyes narrow, blood-tinted, unreadable. Meanwhile, back in the office, a guy glances over his shoulder mid-stride. Beside him, another one strikes a pose, arm thrown out, backlit like he's unveiling state secrets. A floating eyeball cherub blows a horn, kicking off a new segment, the creative problem client. Right next to it, a cleaning service flyer sits beside a case file stamped complete. Of course, some guy in a brown suit just stands there deadpan, while cartoon carrots rain down around him. Then he shuts his eyes, folder in hand, and smiles like none of it touched him. The listing calls it the smile sticker. Stuck on anyone, it breeds a little forced friendliness. That kind of power got it banned, every copy pulled and buried. Solium tucks his into his pocket, maybe the last one left in the world. Curtain falls on that. That night, Solium makes his bed, muttering that work starts again next week. Lying down, he can't get over how much happened today. Naturally, the nightmare doesn't wait. Ghostly faces bleed into each other over the static in his skull. How much more of this is he supposed to take? He groans. Somewhere close, a girl jerks awake, wide-eyed and sweating. Someone asks if he didn't sleep well, since he looks wrecked. Off to the side, a strange purple mark flares briefly at Jahan Lee's collar. There and gone. In the hallway, a coworker clings to his arm, worried he's been stuck with nightmares all night. Park Min-sung slams a hand down, grinning, over the woman seated across from him, and gets nothing but an unimpressed stare back. A nameplate settles it. Team D Chief. A second title card locks in. Team D assistant manager, Yoon Ha-jae herself. She stands arms crossed, unbothered, staring the new hire down without blinking. Honestly, Solium's own head floats free above it all, weighing one tired question: should he just quit? So, someone already balks at saying the case's name out loud. Bold move. Meanwhile, a grinning senior looms over a junior bent into an exaggerated bow. Pure rank theater. A busted radio switches itself on, chirping out a forecast nobody asked for. It swears the roads are calm, while rain actually hammers down outside. Down on the street, a delivery rider and a driver trade blame over the crash. Blinkers optional apparently. Turns out the mismatch starts that afternoon and never lets up. Solium reads it stone-faced. Since when does weather lie on purpose? Someone else turns the dial deeper, hunting the distortion instead of running from it. Back in the office, Park Min-sung grins ear to ear, tablet in hand, aimed right at Solium. Ha-jae crosses her arms behind him, already unconvinced. Take a look, he says, and the screen glitches into a media player nobody trusts. Two mascots, a fox and a dragon. Welcome everyone to Daydream's field exploration team. Two coworkers ask, half smiling, what this company even does. The pitch answers itself. Glowing bottles, a swirling pendant, medicine for anything you could need. Now the pitch goes bigger. Urban legends are real, watching from these same rooftops. A status board flashes 899 full, like a game server maxed out on monsters. A winged, blade-bodied thing, harvest dream stuff from them, one glowing drop at a time. That drop becomes the whole business. Medicine brewed to grant wishes, sold with a jingle bright enough to actually hurt. Wishes? Yes we do. The pendant flashes twice, just to be sure it lands. A yellow mascot named Yong Yong jumps in to explain why dream stuff matters. It's the company's single most valuable resource, apparently. Then the video crowns itself with fireworks. Our wonderful field survey team, it declares. Two chibi figures dance like they just won something. Solium just stares at his tablet. What's with this genre shift? 7 minutes of horror and now jazz hands. The screen answers with a cartoon burst of fans, teapots, and crosses. Boom. Honestly, the ordinary grind never stops either. The collectory's full again today, the caption sighs, like clockwork. Now the training video circles back to money. Who's really buying these potions? Solium sits with hands folded, only half listening. Quite impressive, he says, flat, clearly not meaning it. Behind him, a coworker grins wide while Ha-jae just looks unimpressed, arms crossed. Then Solium stiffens. Something off-panel just landed wrong. Honestly, Ha-jae presses a small glass vial into his hand. First take this, she says, syringe cold against his palm. A wiki page blinks up beside them. Dream stuff, filed under darkness. The company's whole product line harvested straight from the source. Meanwhile, down the hall, Ha-jae and a yellow-eyed coworker glance at the floor together, dark tendrils curling out of their own sleeves like it's nothing. Just Tuesday at Daydream Company, somewhere in the margin, a stitched one-eyed thing peers over a flyer like it's reading along. The flyer itself is blunt. Take the job, clear 20 million won, or just live a normal life. Whatever the ghost inside it is, it's already complaining off-panel about some photo someone took. A horned, masked figure lays out the terms plain: hide and seek with a ghost in a convenience store, 3 days straight, paid. But the ad trails off, and the pause just sits there. Why show him this? Sol Yum says it out loud, hallway ghost text glowing overhead. So why are you showing me this? Turns out the answer's simple. They're shipping the rookie out solo, his first field job, to close this exact deal. Hajae stands behind, arms folded, saying nothing. A hand presses flat against a rippling, portal-like surface, and dark shapes bleed in from the edges of the page. Do I really have to deal with corporate nonsense? Sol Yum thinks, even inside a ghost story. Then the floor drops out. A system window flickers over him mid-fall. Identification code QTARARF F243, classification shade, rank F. His first solo darkness has a name and a number before he's even landed. He lands somewhere lit blue-white, flat on his back, staring up at a glowing sign. His grip tightens on the umbrella he's still somehow holding. I've entered the darkness, he says, quiet, to no one, just him. And whatever's already here. Collar straight, tie still knotted despite the fall. The store around him sits empty, aisles lit by a humming cooler under a starry, wrong-looking ceiling. Then the clock flips, 12:01. Well, grab water, he's told, and hold out for 3 days. His hand reaches for a bottle like the instruction is the only rope he's got. Something's already watching. A face forms out of the dark near the shelves, wide wrong eyes, a mouth that isn't quite a smile. Sol Yum freezes, sweat sliding, the whole frame around him streaked like static. What's in the fridge, and why does the text keep asking? He edges closer. Inside, folded sideways like she was dropped there, lies a pale figure in white, hair spilling everywhere. Dark strands creep across the glass like ink finding cracks. The pale figure's hand lifts, blank eyes opening, and somewhere lower in the frame, a second eye is already watching him too. His eyes go wide behind soaked strands of hair. Something claws at the edge of his sight. His mind fills in the rest before his eyes even catch up. He tips his head down and holds his breath. A cross-shaped shadow waits in the static behind him. Then the counter clock clicks over. Blood red, midnight. Now the clock glares 12:0 again, and the terms come rushing back. 3 days of this? Hide from something in an empty store, alone, for 3 full days straight. His stomach drops. Just kill me instead, he begs, and means every word. But cutting it short comes with no guarantee. Get caught early and he's back at day 1, nothing gained. So he moves instead of freezing, slipping down the dim aisle on light feet. He runs past the checkout desk, low and fast, glancing back once. He has to find another way, and waiting it out isn't an option anymore. Then a face looms upside down at the window, eyes bulging, mouth stretched wide. He doesn't scream, he just grabs the thing and clamps a hand over its face, hard. Silence settles back over the empty room, dust drifting in a thin beam of light. Honestly, there are way too many horror cliches where the thing pops its face in like that. He straightens his collar, calm again, like none of it fazed him at all. Then a clawed hand looms directly over his bowed head, and he freezes completely. One big move and he's caught, plain and simple. He can't even check his phone, not with its screen glowing in the dark. Does it already know exactly where he is? Sweat rolls down his neck while the skyline outside glitches, red and wrong. Turns out his memory holds a matching case. A killer chased someone through an abandoned school for one promised night, 12 hours. It didn't end on time. The log shows 16 hours and 11 minutes before it finally closed. Somewhere in that memory, a figure flinches hard, caught off guard by something off frame. An eye stares out from beneath an hourglass. An old system mark for these kinds of anomalies. A red block slides into a row of gray ones, and that's exactly when people start making exceptions. Light bursts from a cracked red beam, and the scene shifts again. Next, an abandoned hospital, blood streaked across its walls at night. He crouches low in the memory, hunting for the one detail that made the difference. There has to be something specific in that record, something he can use right now. Sol Yum grips his own jaw, straining to recall every detail. Behind him, something with long dark hair fills the doorway, and he never turns around. Turns out the hospital case broke over one dumb accident. An employee named Lee Jae-jin snips the counter's phone line by mistake at 3:12 sharp, and no call gets through. Hours crawl by with the line dead. Then, 13 hours later, someone finally restores it. At 16:11, the doctor picks up the delayed shift change call, late but real. So the call lands late and still works. What if firing the trigger early does the same? He copies the same trick, reaching up like he's calling staff himself. A system message flashes, staff assistance required. It stutters, repeats, and fades to nothing. Then he feels it. It's here, and it's playing with him. Time to run. He clocks the thing standing in front of the desk, blocking the straight line out. One clean break past its side, and he's clear. He bolts. For 1 second, it almost works. Then a warped, grinning face rears up right over his reaching hand. Something pale is already standing exactly where he needs to go. The world tips sideways and goes hazy. He's down, out cold, before he even clears the desk. Fainting again, right on schedule. A groan drags him back, jaw first, world spinning. He comes to, gripping his own collar. New plan, end this ghost story early, on his terms. Now, standing alone in the dark store, he runs the same logic the hospital case gives him. That clock on the wall says 3 days out is the deadline. Could he force whatever happens then to happen now? Delivery day is the obvious answer. He kills it fast. Honestly, scanning in shipments that haven't arrived yet is too complicated for a guy already hiding from a ghost. Then the label answers for him. Manufacture date the 4th, expiry the 6th, floating right in front of a shadow with claws. He goes rigid, sweat sliding down his neck. Simple rule, buried in fine print. Find something set to expire 3 days out and dispose of it early. Every shelf edge glows now. Tuna mayo, rice balls, kimbap, all ticking down. He grabs a tray with a near-date label, hand shaking and moves for the counter. One arm reaches for the register keyboard, screen glowing in the dark. This might actually work. So the counterweight's empty, one knife lying next to the register. Solium steps up in the antlered mask, calm on the outside, sweating everywhere else. He sets the doomed snack down, heart hammering. Now his finger lands on the one purple square in a grid of numbers. 3 days, the display reads, 000 ticking beside it. Please work, he begs out loud. For one heartbeat, it looks like a win. Grin stretched too wide to be sane. It worked, he starts. Something rips the rest away and he drops hard into a room gone black. Meanwhile, a screen flares bright in the dark room. Whose nightmare is this? A long-haired shape bends over a sleeper, teal marks raking down across its face. Solium's hands shake around a glowing red card, and he can't look away. Is this the ghost, playing with the paperwork itself? Claws slash it twice, tearing the card in half. A system window flashes. Register this disposal. One click. His fist clenches, and somewhere in the dark, a hand hangs limp, dripping. Turns out it worked, though he can barely believe it. Disposal registered floats over his head, unmistakable. Sweat rolls off his collar in fat, slow drops. Now he's just a man in a convenience store aisle. Plain light overhead at last. Humans really need light, he blurts, mind finally at peace. Honestly, a coward's victory lap. Just like that, the falling blade turns out to be nothing. Cash sprays from the register instead, claws and confetti together. A nice ghost that likes to startle people, he decides, and flexes as bills rain down. Then the frame cuts away without warning. A woman flinches back, and a man in a dark coat turns his shoulder, arms crossed. Someone else studies a small vial in the light, eyes narrow. Haja smokes on the roof, calm on the surface. Somewhere below, the new recruit sits alone inside a ghost story. It's only 3 days, food packed, so he should be fine, she tells herself. Minsung points down at him, grinning too wide. Of course, plenty of recruits quit over this same initiation. Can't handle it? Then just resign, they say. 2 more suits watch the skyline dim toward dusk, saying nothing. Somewhere in the dark, an egg cracks beside a pale white flower. On a tablet screen, their rookies sit still, antler shadows carved across his eyes. Uncannily calm, someone says. Turns out a strong heart's always welcome here, Hajie says, smirking up at the tall man beside her. There was one coward who made it through before, someone recalls, and got knocked flat for his trouble. At his desk, he flips through notes, calm, focused. He never took a single note his first week, and Hajie decides someone should fix that. An info memo isn't optional, not when someone's life is riding on it. He stares down at a warning badge, and it hits him. He already knew this. Wait, did he know it the whole time? Then the badge buzzes in his hand, sudden and wrong. He flinches back, mouth open, no sound. Somewhere inside, he holds up a small vial and calls it done, tie loosened, smug. The new recruit cleared it in an hour. Meanwhile, young Engo breathes out hard, hand pressed to her chest. She thought her heart was going to give out. Back at the office, he straightens his tie, face flat as ever. Did that really only take an hour, he wonders? Hajie and Minsung wait on the couch, food forgotten, bracing for the story. So, flanked by both of them, he says it flat. I fast-forwarded time. Silence cracks the room like a dropped plate. This kid? Someone finally breathes. Honestly, under the bright office lights, both seniors just stare, recalculating everything they thought they knew about him. Hajie sips coffee, needling him anyway, calling him roe deer. Don't forget me when you make it big, she teases. You'll outrank me by Tuesday. He shrugs it off. Only got out fast because he was scared, nothing more. Jaehyun watches from the shadows, faint smile, saying nothing at all. Next time he asks, could someone just warn him first? One voice admits she thought she was going to die. Another just yells that she's lying. Now Hajie leans in, chin on her fist, and asks how much he actually made. 10 million won, he says, and the bag of cash backs him up. She leans in closer, fingers drifting toward his chin, already angling for a cut. Of course, she tells him not to be shy, just hand it over. He hesitates, moral sense flag trembling. Ah yes, she grins, they've got to do that again. Someone just says the words wish ticket out loud, and it snags him hard. So Solium drops into his chair and checks the price himself, face dead flat. Then he demands it straight at the screen. How much is a wish ticket? 500,000 points, the screen says, with stock sitting at 999 plus. So how's one rookie supposed to afford that? A grim little imp floats beside him as he just accepts it. Can't even buy the thing. Not happening. Then his brain does a hard flip. Wait, what if he climbs the ranks instead? A B rank runs 10,000 points, apparently, and there's no way he's doing that alone. Split 3 ways, that's 3,300 each. Divide the wish ticket price by that number, and it comes out past 150 runs, just to earn 1 wish. Honestly, his brain sketches the whole grind as a theme park ride. The on-site ghost story experience, a chibi version of him under a buzzsaw while some grinning operator runs it. I am not scared, the sign lies. The math alone should scare him more than any ghost has. Hajay leans in with that same smile, asking if he registered his points okay. Somewhere in his own head, he's already buried under formulas, flat on a bed made of equations, and all he manages back is yes. Now his eyes drift to another badge on another lanyard. A blonde senior offers him a smoke and calls him roe deer for it. He waves it off. I'm okay. His grip tightens hard on the metal bar in his hand, jaw set. Something's about to happen, and he already knows it. Turns out there's a sticky note wedged under the furniture, and it's exactly what he needed. Manager Lee Jae-heen's login, Idaho, and password spelled right out. Found it. He pumps his fist once, quiet, like a man who just got away with something. Somewhere close, one eye watches him through a curtain of dark hair, unnamed and unexplained. Then the whole scene folds away into stars. Back at his desk, a giant glitchy green cursor looms over the whole workspace, like some cosmic hand about to click him. Tacky. Turns out that banner is a promotional ransomware dressed up as a shopping mall ad, visible only to section chief rank or higher, which he isn't, not yet anyways. Click the banner and it drops you straight into the site. Of course, company computers keep access logs, and getting caught isn't part of the plan, so he copies the link instead, figuring he'll open it from home where nobody's watching. The scene fades to a hush of stars, a pixel UFO beaming up a tiny version of him over the show's title card, then fades again. At home now, he's back on his phone, thumb on the same link. The screen glitches first, colors bleeding sideways, before a shopping app blinks up. Sort menus flicker, price low to high, high to low, best sellers, then it all dissolves into static and jagged text nobody asked for. The static clears. What's left is a logo, some wood grain UFO brand blinking onto a cartoon starry sky. Turns out this sketchy banner just leads to a shopping site. Solium eyes his own screen from behind, dead unimpressed. Looks so cheap, he mutters, not even mobile optimized. A blank gradient flashes by, then the UFO icon barks and orders, show items. His full inventory floods the screen. He pumps his fist behind it, thrilled with what he sees. Now this cash didn't come from nowhere. It's the 20 million won he won off that convenience store ghost story, sitting untouched until now. He grips a transparent card, jaw set. Okay, this is it. What follows is pure cartoon chaos. Solium's buried under a money bag, alien and UFO grinning back, cash sacks piled everywhere. Then the screen resolves. Purchase successful, it reads, with little star-shaped creatures drifting down like confetti. He blinks in surprise. Wait, did that actually work? Before he can process it, the screen goes quiet, just green pixel sky and stars. Then a timer ticks down beside a small snail-shaped icon. 3 seconds. 2. The sky shifts to dusk. A giant glowing ding fills it whole. Then ping, closer this time, blinding, right in his face. Something drops straight out of thin air. He catches it on reflex, a paper bag stamped Space Shopping Mall. It hits the floor with a thud a second later anyway. Wow, he thinks. Honestly, the box is exactly his speed. Canned drinks labeled drink me, cookies labeled eat me, all tied off with a ribbon, straight out of a fairy tale. 1 or 2 of these, tucked away for later, could come in handy. Then, alone in the dark, he covers his face with one hand. A small pixel key blinks on beside him. Then, out of nowhere, a giant ghost looms over him mid-meal, roaring for a fight. Bring it on, cowardly Kim, it screams. Solium just keeps eating with his fork, completely unbothered. The panel even slaps a smug the end over the whole thing. Just like that, the app cuts to other customers living their own weird transactions. A doctor calmly takes a ghost patient's blood pressure and collects loose bone fragments like it's routine. Somewhere else, a woman gets caught holding a radio she isn't supposed to have. She panics inside, scrambling for an excuse. She can't exactly admit she used her boss's login to buy it. Back at his own order, Solium smiles wide, eyes shut, pure contentment. The system even chimes in, satisfied. He really enjoyed shopping. Then the catch shows up. He's fast asleep while a ghost woman looms right over the bed, eyes glowing, hand glowing. Wait, a ghost comes free with every order? Underneath it all, cheerfully, please leave a review. Meanwhile, the next day, back at the office building, someone flatly turns something down. Oh no thanks, they say, weirdly cheerful about it. Then Jaehan touches his temple, puzzled. Streams of numbers start pouring down around him, digit after digit, like the world's glitching just for him. A coworker leans in, grinning, and predicts the team leader's going to love this guy. He just blinks back, confused. Seriously, they insist. He turns and walks off without a word. That's when Hajay catches up, phone in hand, leaning in close enough to make him flinch. Haji glances back one last time, coat settling on her shoulder, something unreadable in her eyes. Then the picture goes dark, just a shape shifting. So this is his punishment, Solyum figures, for pocketing that 20 million won. He walks on, phone lit with ID codes and clearance ranks he's never meant to see. Is Daydream's darkness bigger than anyone at his level was ever told? An old application form flickers past, edges curling like it's decades older than it should be. A blade curves out of black smoke, wetted, patient. Then jagged light rips downward through the dark like something about to fall. Now the show opens with a drumroll, two hosts grinning like it's any Tuesday night. The masked one leans into the camera, claws framing his head. No, that's not all he promises the audience. Honestly, for a program hosted by something that isn't human, the pitch is weirdly polished. Then the title card hits, glowing. The Tuesday quiz show. Cracked, starry wallpaper behind him. Where a face should be, there's a TV grinning with a winking smiley. A hand reaches down toward a single falling syllable, spelling out something worse. Then something long streaks past, blood already spattered on the wall beneath it. More syllables cascade after it, screaming over and over. Meanwhile, a white-gloved hand reaches out of pure black, fingers spread beckoning. The show starts for real. Our rookie's podium reads "Roe Deer," and the shadow leaning over him is the size of a building. Its head is a screen, one bright smiley glowing in a wall of dim ones. Wait, is that a television for a head? Naturally, someone off camera calls for the cameras. Good standby, like this is routine work. There's a TV where the head should be. Solyum looks up at it and has to ask himself, is that really the host of this quiz show? Light bursts across the frame and words bleed in over it. Because. Your cheers, the stage lights promise, confetti drifting past neon signs. Turns out 3 podiums are already filled. Badger, Peregrine Falcon, Roe Deer. The host throws a hand up, coat snapping as he strides forward. A title card flares behind him. This is the very reason the show exists. Nothing else is clear yet. So the stripes and light dissolve, narrowing down to one shape. One figure remains. Behind the antlered mask, Solyum keeps his hands calmly clasped, screaming inside, terrifying, exactly as expected. Compared to the convenience store ghost, this is nothing, he tells himself. A host with a TV for a face is still just a costume. Call it that and it's manageable. Meanwhile, cue cards sit stacked near his feet. Ordinary as any studio prop. Overhead, the truss looks bolted down and boring. Even the audience section reads like some old American talk show, he decides. Now a story selection screen tears open on a new segment. Somewhere inside it, a clawed hand closes around a stranger's hair from behind. Their face never clears. The image dissolves into old CRT sets glitching on a shelf. The caption is blunt, an old American talk show. Honestly, a third eye glares out from behind claws and hair, daring anyone to look away. 2 more figures pass by, faces kept out of frame. A white mask shows one tear-stained eye and nothing else. Whoever narrates this ghost story already knows every answer. Well then, it says, looks like we're ready. A suited man holds an old television up to block his own face. A fist clenches tight over the title card. Let's dive right in. The countdown logs this one as a case file. Darkness Exploration Records, Daydream Co. Identification code QTurv A104. 2 masked figures share the same unsettling smile as the countdown lands on its last number. Solyum's collar goes damp. What happens at 0? A scraping sound drags through blood already pooling on the floor. Filmstrip stills show the studio wrecked. Furniture in pieces, walls painted red. It started, the record says, as a harmless 70s talk show glimmer. D-rank. Nothing special. So how does it end in a room like this? You already know it doesn't stay small. Of course, spotlights land back on stage on 2 masked contestants, Badger and Peregrine Falcon. Static cuts in, and the real introductions start. Peregrine Falcon, the announcer calls, and 2 men flinch wide-eyed at the sound of it. And Roe Deer, the announcer crows, and Solyum reels backward into a shower of confetti. Confetti keeps falling as Solyum runs the math in his head. If this is episode 110, that puts him at exploration 99, not the 100th after all. Around him, the other 2 contestants don't look nearly as rattled. One stands deadpan through the confetti. The other flashes an unsettling grin like this is nothing new. So Solyum talks himself into it. The odds of the 100th run were always low, but is calm the same as safe in a place like this? His hand freezes anyway, guard back up. Meanwhile, both men flicker onto an old color TV, grinning like game show ghosts. A television-headed host looms over the set, one red eye glowing where a face should be. Its rule is simple: step out of line here and it's a death sentence. 3 contestants take their podiums on a hand the size of a stage, web strands hanging overhead. Then, static. Now the TV head leans in and asks if he's alright. Solyum says it's his first time here, voice thin. Ah, excellent, the host purrs, then points one gloved finger straight down into the static. A title card flashes up. Time for an easy one. Of course, the question is almost insulting. Water, iron, oil, or soil? Which one isn't human? Solyum knows this cold. Correct. The host beams, thumbs up and all. Badger nails it too. Even behind the mask, he looks pleased with himself. The host can hardly believe it, gasping that even the Falcon aced one this hard. One masked woman just watches sideways, unreadable. Then the whole feed jolts, a scream of static ripping through. Now it's Roe Deer's turn, and the old TV rattles like it's nervous for him too. He drags the moment out, hand pressed to his mouth for the cameras. Number 3, he calls out, strangulation, and the host asks what fate that just bought him. A cartoon smiley mascot pops up, waving a sign, sparkles and all, comic relief on cue. Correct, the host confirms again. Behind the mask, Solium just shrugs. It was obviously number 3. He was only playing along. Naturally, the show can't stop gushing about the streak now. Every question answered right. Then the mood snaps. A gloved hand reaches straight for him, and every trace of joking drains out of the room. What does this thing want from him now? This close to a screen with no real face. Yes, he says, flat and steady. He doesn't blink. Lights flare okay behind him as he straightens his tie, mouth already opening on what comes next. Now the TV-headed host walks the room through its choices. Number 1, then 2, then 3 and 4, laid out like nothing is riding on them. Turns out something is riding on them. Deer leans in on the host, calm outside, while static crackles between them. What is he thinking? Gambling on every single answer when the wrong one costs blood? The show already spelled out the price of guessing wrong. Lose 30 to 40% and you're dead. He picks every answer on the card anyway. Multiple correct answers, the host marvels. How bold. Meanwhile, down a corridor, one of his seniors breaks into a sweat and mutters one word, no. Of course, the host just claps, pleased, and lets it go. Behind a half mask, one contestant narrows his eye at what comes next. The scripted answer, the one the writers actually wrote, was only ever number 1. However, the host says and swings back around. Isn't Deer's answer the far more impressive one? Something drops out of the rafters above him and he flinches before he can catch himself. The host doesn't care. He calls it a perfect answer, brilliant, and 100 flashes up on the board. The sign declares episode 110 of the Tuesday quiz show officially closed. Backstage, 2 masked men in matching suits trade small talk about the rap. One warns the other to save the yawning for when the cameras look away. Honestly, workplace advice doesn't get more useless than that. Naturally, there can only be one MVP, the show declares. Confetti rains down, and our boy gets crowned 99th MVP, whether he wants the title or not. The board lights up with his new name, Deer. He can only scream. A hand reaches down through the falling paper. He manages a stiff thanks, then the only question that matters, why me? He lowers the mask just enough to breathe. Finally, it's over, he admits. The number 99 glows twice on the screen, marking the round. Then the old TV winks under a marquee promising next Tuesday, cheerful as ever. Then the signal breaks. Static tears through the broadcast as the announcer smiles too wide, promising a garbled return next Tuesday. Behind him, the marquee flickers a title that isn't quite the Tuesday quiz show anymore. For a second, 2 faces bleed together in the static. One smiling too calmly, one grim. Neither one looks fully human. A single spotlight falls on an empty stage as something creaks in the dark. The booth sits there unoccupied, ringed in small cold lights. Then a flash of glyphs cuts across the black and the segment resets. New contestants line up at identical podiums under the same old sign. They stand with their backs turned, same haircuts, same blank masks, spiral static loops on the screens between them. Something huge and spiky looms in the foreground, close enough to blot out the light. One small contestant stands alone near the screens, tiny, against it. The whole frame starts to shake. 2 of them stand rigid in the tremor, sweat on her face, both sets of eyes gone wide. The rest of the group reacts to something just off camera, nobody naming it out loud. One masked man cuts his eyes sideways at the man beside him, and the shaking doesn't stop. Solium's masked face locks tight, eyes fixed past the lights. Digits climb down above him, and for a second, he doesn't get the countdown at all. Huh? He mutters, twice, chasing an answer that isn't coming. Now the numbers hit 0. Sweat rolls under his mask as a shape looms behind the glowing dial, some silhouette he can't place. A jagged little emblem flashes over black like a curtain closing on whatever just triggered. Meanwhile, new location, same dread. 3 figures stand blindfolded in white, tagged employees, and Solium's gut drops the moment he clocks them. Exploration Team, his mind snags on the label and stays there. They came before him and Team D, and they never left. Why are they still here? The dark presses in around the question, a black striped panel holding nothing but held breath before the next reveal. Then fire tears the room open. Red gashes slash across the frame like something huge just swung and connected. Someone screaming. It isn't Solium. Turns out the horror has a stage name. A fox-masked figure steps into gold stage light, petals drifting past him. Behind it, a bubble the size of a bus bursts open, reading surprise. An old TV frame catches him mid-gesture, one gloved hand sweeping wide. That, he announces, was only a preview. The real contestants debut next Tuesday. Somewhere past the lights, Solium freezes solid. A shape catches the beam, dust-caked, glinting, and he can't tell what it is. Don't react, he tells himself, and holds dead still. Meanwhile, a camera lens marked 3 stays lit red, unmoving, watching. Still rolling, something notes off panel. Because nobody ever called cut down a corridor, a red door glows behind a circular seal. No one's near it. It's just waiting. Then the rules show up on a yellow sign with a winking smiley face. Disrespect the show in any way, it warns, and you get removed. removed. No hearing, no appeal, just cheerful branding on a death threat. Solium's fist clenches so hard, his arm shakes. Damn it, he breathes, sweat streaking down skin gone tight with dread. He's not performing scared anymore. This is just scared. So the host grins wide enough to show teeth, quiz banner glittering behind him. He wants to know who's next to follow in his footsteps as MVP. He says it like it's an honor, not a death sentence. Then he waves the segment closed. Look forward to next week, he says, and confetti starts falling. Light and sound smear into a haze of falling daisies. One flower drifts alone into the dark, and the frame holds there, already leaning into whatever's next. A horned, grinning host holds up Rodear's own photo like a trophy nobody asked for, while the TV-headed MC looms behind a static warped mirror. Same time tomorrow, he promises an even bigger show. Now the title card rolls, Rodear, Badger, Peregrine Falcon, and you, over and over the word glitching until it swallows the whole screen. He waves goodbye with a wink stitched onto his television face. Light flares white, and a glowing rune burns through it. The glare breaks apart into drifting stars. The broadcast goes dark. Off camera, the TV head sighs that they nearly ruined the live broadcast. Rodear stands bowed over his bat, dog tag swinging, and says only, "I'm glad we managed to save it." Someone is still sweeping ash off the floor where the battery fire scorched it. The TV head offers Rodear a job with an open hand, and he waves it off, already employed. The host only sighs that the new contestants must have been quite surprised. A masked host tells the three of them not to be too discouraged, promising they'll get something for it. Beside Rodear, his senior breaks into a nervous sweat. Well, the TV head jolts with a huh, eyes flicking to something off-screen. His grin twists into a wince. This is rather difficult news to deliver, he says. So he gestures calm and slow, then delivers it anyway. Our show was just cancelled. Rodear's shoulders jump until the TV head clarifies, only the Tuesday quiz show is done, not his own segment. Naturally, they'll all be contestants again for the new segment too, and Rodear says nothing back. This development, again? The mask hides everything else. A record flashes across the screen. Exploration number 100. The clear report confirms it. Same studio as every episode before. Stacks of data tables blur past underneath, too fast to read. A recorded broadcast, the sign promises, will be much easier than a live one. Rodear eyes the red blade-shaped thing hanging above it. Easier or just easier to hide? The TV head starts a modest little speech about his supporting role. He barely gets a sentence out before someone cuts him off. Wait. A close shot catches torn, striped cloth, dark and white, worn thin. Then a long-haired figure rises over the TV head, looking down at him like a judge. Red static swallows the screen. Through the noise, he still warns them the filming isn't over yet. Overhead, something huge and jagged, half mask, half teeth, hangs under red light. Below it, a man lies collapsed, hand raised weak. A purple-haired figure just watches, doing nothing. One of Solium's masked co-stars lies pinned to the floor, embers glowing beneath him. Quite troublesome. Leaving in the middle, the mask above him warns. He screams back, no. Nearby, his masked co-star flinches, stunned to land back on air so soon. Solium's antlers catch the light as his hand shoots up. What just broke in the broadcast? I have to stop this, he warns. Meanwhile, someone off camera calls it a day, says they should prep and head back. The crew has other plans. A card flashes, shoot ready. A shadowed hand signs okay. We have to start the show, Solium calls, settling in beside the old TV. Someone mutters, unsettled. The countdown ticks to 0. Then the cue hits. Action. Turns out, the break's over. Blood streaks a pig-faced entity's eyes as red static tears across the set. The joy of Tuesday, the TV-headed host chirps, gesturing to an audience of empty seats. So he announces a brand new segment, holding up a red ticket card to rows nobody fills. A chorus, what a beautiful sound, he says. And Solium goes rigid at the word. An old radio prop promises everyone's going to love it. The lights cut to black, letters glitching through static. The title flickers, The Tuesday. The pig-headed entity stands full length in a blood-soaked room. A static slashes the screen red. Narration brands him the butcher of filthy, hideous melodies. What could his magnificent instrument even be? The TV-headed host gasps, holding a glowing card as the instrument starts coming down. Wire pulls taut, one disc swings low, and dozens more scale plates hang waiting across the stage. Who joins the choir? A masked voice calls. The host doesn't wait long for volunteers. It picks 2 new faces for the first challenge instead. A man and a woman freeze under the mask lights, and he's the one chosen. Sweat breaks under his own mask before the question board even drops. Now the board reveals the choices. Pig, human, rabbit, flea. He leans back, running the odds in his head. If he just gets this right, he tells himself he'll be fine. That's how the last quiz show worked, wasn't it? For one long second, everything goes still, red light pooling around him. Then he blurts his answer, human number 2. The board flashes back, correct. Light swirls across the stage as the host's mask streaks with blood and grins. Congratulations on passing, mole. Right answer, wrong game. He drops where he stands and blood spreads across the floor. Meanwhile, ghost faces line a curling chain in the shadows behind him. Something with glowing green eyes leans over the kill. Finally, a voice rasps. Our first choir member is claimed. Shadows burst apart in jagged light. This is our place, they shriek, and somehow somehow a human got in. One face flips upside down, mouth stretched into a scream. The shrieking doesn't stop. Over and over, it's human, it's human. A young woman clutches her own face and screams into the noise around her. A man screams as something dark murmurs his name, Si-yeon. He hangs strung up by wires, blood running down his face. The entity keeps its count. Number 2, it says, it's human. Well, fire and lightning tear across the stage as a TV-headed figure steps from the blast. Now, next up it says, one gloved hand holding a white cloth. A new contestant stands blindfolded at the edge of the light, one hand shaking at his collar. Jellyfish, someone calls. Are you ready? So he screams before the question even finishes. He'd rather take the penalty, he blurts, rather than end up like that. Then comes the real confession. He doesn't know the answer. Oh dear, eliminated, the TV head announces, and a flash swallows him whole. Flower petals scatter across the stage where he stood. Turns out the masked host isn't finished tormenting them either. They failed to join the magnificent choir, it says. If passing gets you killed and failing gets you eliminated, what's actually safe here? Then it reaches for a small flower as red static glitches around it. So a record from another day plays over the wreckage. Just 5 minutes into filming, an entire group vanished. In the black pool where they stood, something with too many teeth is waiting. Now the rules just changed. No more penalty buffer. One wrong answer means automatic elimination. The host's grin turns toward a face it already knows. Your turn, the sign flashes, and something small and pale drops unseen into the dark below. He's under the spotlight now, sweating through the silence before he answers. Glass shatters. A hand claws up through a pool of red as someone screams a single name, Badger. Meanwhile, the in-world wiki loads a page on the quiz host mid-fight. Classification still pending. Below it, a second entry queues up, a pig-masked thing called the Conductor. Rank A-, code starting QTRV, details still loading. It's your turn to answer, the voice says again, and Badger's sweat says he's out of options. His name gets screamed again. Turns out the choice on offer is decapitated, or burned, one at a time. Hands claw through a jagged tear in the world. Nothing's getting out clean. Badger's back is turned when the shadow rises behind him, horned, its claws spreading wide. Static crawls across his face. Beside him, something thorned and coiled waits, pale eyes lit in the dark. No, he screams, as claw marks tear straight through the frame. His ribs show through torn cloth a second later, one eye wide with pain. Whatever's doing this to him is already inside. So Solium forces himself to focus, hands clamped white-knuckled around anything solid. His eye stares wide through his own hair, caught between watching and needing to look away. This isn't fear, he realizes, so what is it? It's the same awe you'd feel watching a wave big enough to end everything. Up close. Don't forget that part, Kim Solium. A disaster this size doesn't care who's clever enough to survive it. On the table sits the one option, with the best odds of getting anyone out alive. His hand moves toward it. Is this really the safest bet, or just the only one left? Now the voice wants to know if Badger's ready. Somewhere close, a scream breaks the word human in half. The grinning TV head tilts, almost puzzled by its own contestant. Excellent, the host purrs, pointing at his own grinning screen like it's in on the joke. He rests his chin on one hand, eyes closed, savoring it. He calls the whole thing touching, like he means the opposite. So, is it correct? Two grinning mascot heads dunk into a boiling pot below the scoreboard. Below the frame, white hair catches the light, Lee Jae-hin watching too. Then the host's masked face fills the frame, blood still flecked across it. Behind him, Rodir lifts a hand and calls out to him directly. The host freezes, thrown that anyone would interrupt him mid-show. Rodir, he snaps, do you have something to say? Nearby, a teammate's stomach drops as Rodir answers soft and calm. I feel very dizzy. Could I rest for a moment, he asks, palm lifted toward the dark. Overhead, some rigged fixture drips slow and heavy, a silent warning the show still has teeth. A finger snaps, light detonates across the frame. Cut, someone barks, and the whole set goes still. The TV-headed producer throws a fist in the air. 30-minute break, he calls, and just like that, the killing floor goes quiet. Turns out someone behind him can't believe it. The kid didn't even get incinerated. He almost can't believe it either. If this were live, he'd already be dead. But it isn't. It's a recorded broadcast, and recorded broadcasts get second takes. Nearby, twin screens glow teal, patient machines waiting for the next take. Honestly, a dizzy spell was never the whole play. He peels a smile sticker onto his own collar, an item that fakes warmth toward anything watching. Paired with a sip from the drink me flask, the effect doubles. Meanwhile, the TV-headed producer turns almost sheepish, apologizing, claiming he needs to adjust his antenna. Then he asks for Rodir to be guided to the waiting room. He even remembers a promise of water, and tells him to go rest and drink. Near a mirror, a hand closes around his arm and pulls him along. Rodir lets it happen, half his mask catching the light. Underneath it, he's smirking, because so far every piece is landing exactly where he placed it. Of course, the show still keeps its own clock. A notice flashes, recording resumes in 30 minutes, and on-screen a timer glitches into its countdown. Well then, the room confirms exactly what he needed to hear. Confirmed, you are alone. Can he actually trust a voice like that, his grip on the escort tightens, just for a second. Something in him goes tight the instant the words land. No hesitation left, he's already moving. Now the corridor sits empty, one door left ajar. He doubles over against a wall plastered with old notices, breath ragged. Even bot time has limits, only 30 minutes. Is that even enough? Sweat beads on his cheek as his eyes narrow at something ahead. An ornate shape swims into focus, old metalwork ringing a small object. His hand drifts toward the button, and for one long second, he just hovers there. He tilts the strange object toward the light, hair falling over his eyes. A button, maybe? Only one way to check. He presses it. Click. Of course it was a button. Meanwhile, somewhere else, two hands close over a pair of old hairpins under lamplight, a wall of newspaper clippings behind them. Clawed fingers rise unnoticed behind his shoulders, shaping his head like horns. Lee Jae-hyun still doesn't notice the danger at his back. The frame dissolves into old photographs and drifting light. It settles, faint, on a half-remembered storefront. Then it snaps back. Turns out it's not just a button, it's a communication device. He shouts one word into it, yes, before rushing on. No time for manners, he says. He's Kim Sol-eum, a new recruit from Team D, with an urgent report. In 30 minutes, he tells them every person on Team D is going to die. Now the reply comes back from somewhere dark and empty, level and short. I see. Buy another 30 minutes, the voice tells him. Sol-eum doesn't buy it for a second. 30 more minutes, and would anything really change? In his palm sits the button device. In his head, one image needles at him. Someone's sleeve, torn, glimpsed a second too long. Could that torn cloth be the thread that finally names who's behind this? Buy the 30 minutes, and Team D gets exactly one chance. Just one. Meanwhile, a shape watches from the dark, unseen for now. Power like that, someone thinks, has to belong to somebody with a name. Baek Sa-hyun straightens his tie. Quiet. He's turning over one thought. This might be a named employee he actually knows. Elsewhere, a pig-masked judge levels a blade at another contestant. Human, he calls him twice, like he needs convincing himself. Well, back at the studio, the host's TV screen head resets to a fresh half hour. He starts misting the air like nothing's wrong. Honestly, watching him grovel this politely for his life is something. Dear, the host asks, are you ready to put on the best show possible? Sol-eum keeps it stiff and polite. Thank you for your consideration. Well, you did work hard, the host laughs back. Naturally, that warmth isn't real charm. The smile sticker's still doing its work on him. Two more masked players face off nearby, matching eye masks hiding whatever they're planning. One turns to a glowing red screen and says one word into it. Host. Then the picture fractures into flashes, red light bleeding through a hallway, and the moment cuts. Back in the room, the host turns his television face fully toward him. Oh, dear, he asks. Do you have something to say to me? So Sol-eum squares his stance and slips back into character. Step 1. Soften the host up first. He lays it on thick. The host pours his whole heart into the show. The screen flashes wide-eyed, genuinely touched. Honestly, threatened with death, the flattery just floods out of him. He admits, deadpan, no shame left. In his head, this guy practically cheers himself on. Such high praise, he gushes at the host, laying it on even thicker. The host screen dims, smile gone flat. He mutters about handling this himself, alone. Turns out the live band never plays anymore, and the penalties are gone too. The seats behind him sit completely empty. Where did the audience even go? Something about this whole setup itches at him. He stares down a wall of torn posters, piecing it together. Was the company's cost-cutting story ever true? Then static crawls across everything. So somewhere in his memory, a shape lights up near an old crane tower. It circles back to one word, the host. Oh. Something in his tone snags the host, who goes cold, I'm sorry. Then just as fast, he's all smiles again, says he appreciates the sentiment. But show business, he adds, is a cold, cold world. Then the glove goes claw. The host grabs him mid-sentence, light flashing white. He never finishes. To a viewer like me, the old show was. Something flickers at his fingertips in the dark. Just like that, he's full of apologies, claiming he got carried away live and overstepped. Of course, the screen just glitches back to static, like nothing happened. A voice announces 60 seconds until they're filming again. The TV head raises a hand, ready to play host again. The countdown starts, and it's already wrong. 9, 8, then straight to 5. Somewhere else, a stranger sweats under hanging wires as it hits 4. Then it skips to 2, jerks back up to 7, nothing lining up. The counter locks on 100, slashed red. The show resumes. Meanwhile, backstage, a man hunched at a dim desk looks up. By the way, he says, and Sol-eum tenses. What shape is your mask, team leader? He holds a plain little button up, silent. Is this really about the mask, or is someone testing something else? On the lit stage, Badger takes his bow, orange hair, a red split mask, applause ringing off the screens. Backstage, someone dark-haired stands with his back turned. Chief, Badger manages, and his face goes rigid with fear. 3 seconds, comes the answer, flat and cold, no warmth in it. Below the stage, one bound woman already hangs still, a single drop of blood tracking down her ribs. This is what 3 seconds buys. Then it comes. Badger's answer scores correct, a banner and confetti, and a laughing emoji stamped over what just happened to him. Somewhere in the dark, a hooded shape lifts a thin blade and tests the air. Behind it, an old card drops through the light, stamped unreadable, gone before anyone can read it. Solium turns his equipment on. Behind him, a pathway tears open, a whole ghost city hanging pale and silent on the other side. He pushes it as far as it will go. Something recoils hard, spinning through cracked light and falling debris. A plate spins loose in the wreckage, a clawed shadow closing over it. Somewhere close, something slices the dark fast once. Now of all things, a single AAA battery clatters to the floor. One eye narrows, sweat sliding down a cheek. Jae-hun Lee sets his shoulders and gets ready to move. Turns out hitting the conductor's ring head-on was never going to work, so this is the workaround instead. Will disrupting the flow even be enough? A clawed hand rises, a blade held low and ready. Someone drops head first toward the fanged thing waiting below. Break its rhythm, just once, he shouts, and falls. The show doesn't care either way. Its host beams anyway, Badger answered right, so Badger joins the chorus now. Just a red curtain now, empty, waiting for someone. Solium calls into it, the audience is waiting, so is he, where's the conductor? Then it answers. A hood stitched from something that used to be skin rises slowly onto the stage. At that moment, a single thread drops into the dark, into something already bound. A face on the other end warps, streaked red. A clawed hand reaches for a young man's throat. He shouts, another figure caught in the same grip beside him. Then just the sound of choking. The panel cuts to black. Blood streaks the window, claw marks gouging the sill below it. Who bled there? In the dark, only a jaw and a collar catch the light. Whoever it is isn't moving yet. A voice singles someone out with one word, you. A gloved hand lifts slowly, fingers poised like it's about to snap. It doesn't like the show, not one bit. Then the frame catches fire. Burning letters spell out the story's title as shadows of raised arms twist beneath them. Embers spiral, ash spins, one more glyph ignites, then the blaze smolders down. Meanwhile, over the flames, a voice lays out its philosophy. A show can't chase flashy guests, it says. It has to stay true to what it is. The joy of watching, the thrill of not knowing what's next. Badger convulses mid-scream, clawing at his own chest. The joy of witnessing, the thrill of the unpredictable. Badger is the one paying for it. A blade streaks through the fire. Solium's face catches the light through the smoke, half red and half shadow, waiting for whatever comes next. The television head accuses the producers they don't deserve to run a show. Solium's eye goes wide, bloodshot, furious. But I do, he snaps back. The television head lifts one hand slowly. Static crawls across its screen face, like something holding its breath. For a moment, nothing happens. A pale, bony hand reaches out of the dark. Something looms just out of view. Then it lunges. A deer skull with rotted flesh and a mouthful of blood. A name card burns into place. Roe Deer. Why does the thing share his own name? Solium wipes blood from his nose, claw-shaped shadows looming behind him. It isn't tearing him apart. Thanks to him, it says it has gained a vision. An old TV, glowing pink, tells him he has real talent for making a show. He points a bloodied finger down. It adds one more line. I hope to see you more often. Static swallows the frame, thick and glitching. One word hangs in the noise, but slowly it bleeds toward white, the scene folding into whatever comes next. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a blonde man grips his own collar in disbelief. It worked, he breathes. Beside him, a dark-haired man watches, and something new is already starting. For 1 second, it's just 3 people catching their breath. Then something unseen yanks Salim's head back by the hair. A teammate screams. Hajay grabs him from the front and doesn't let go. Meanwhile, backstage, the show's shrinking budget is still being fought over, quietly off to the side. The day after Salim survives 2 brutal shifts, the story cuts away to the other rookies. Wherever they are, whatever they're doing, turns out one of the other rookies is just grinding it out. 2 F-rank Darkness clears net her 66 points. Her bosses on Team R aren't exactly warm, but at least nobody's hazing her. Small mercies. Head down, she just keeps typing. She'll do it. Then her phone lights up and her face goes slack. A chibi flash of Solium pops up beside her head. Words already traveling. For a second, she's back on a worse day, his arms around her, holding her together. Then it's gone. Baek Sahyun smirks over his cup while Heiji just drinks, tired. He gets it now, apparently. And he says it plain, thanks, Roe Deer. It's my treat, so eat up, the seniors insist, and Cake buries his desk. Solium sits stiff through it. Honestly, the records did all the work, not him. Someone calls her D-rank excuse pathetic, and Haji's fist clenches. Fine, she'll prove herself in the next darkness. He asks around, but nobody knows a thing. Why won't anyone just say what's really going on? Still, he wishes the manager would push the higher-ups harder. Haji just sips her coffee, unconvinced. The manager's not really the type, she figures. Then her phone dings again. A name flashes up next. Manager Lee Jae-hyun, one of the most famous characters the records ever wrote about. The story everyone still tells is the AAA battery play. A single battery that somehow turned a whole show around. The lizard's identity is about to come out. A white reptilian face turns and says simply, hello. Then Solium spots the mask hanging loose and empty from its owner's waist. Wait. So if that's the mask, what is he actually looking at right now? Sweat breaks cold on his skin as the answer lands. He goes rigid, and for one long beat, nobody says a word. Now rain streaks down outside while a coat and tie stand perfectly still. Haji reaches toward a bandaged head. To everyone else, just an ordinary man. The rest of the group closes in around him, waiting. Somewhere else, three strangers freeze, sweat sliding down their faces at something off-panel. A masked stranger's eyes go tight with dread. The chapter title stamps right over his face. The intrusion of another team. Meanwhile, back at the office, the verdict lands. No A-rank upgrade for the Tuesday quiz show. Min-sung snaps, this is infuriating. Already halfway out of his chair to go yell at someone. Haja just puts a hand on his shoulder. That's the whole rebellion. Over before it starts? Then someone reads further down the report. Min-sung blurts out at the number, fist pumping, while Solyum just stands there, arms crossed and unreadable. Haje mutters that her resignation date just moved up 3 years. Then she walks off, hands in her pockets. Honestly, she says, Rodir did all the actual work, with a mocking little cartoon of Min-sung tagged onto the line. All three end up huddled over his monitor anyway, checking the score for themselves. Now, a quick reminder why the points math matters so much. People take these jobs knowing they might die. It's all just to bank enough for one wish ticket out. Naturally, back at his desk, Haje and Min-sung lean in from both sides, gripping his shoulders. Solyum just sits there, unimpressed, waiting for the joke to end. Then his screen flares. Another job just dropped in. Haje looks down at a small ghost in a tiny vest and tie, sly and delighted. The little thing just blinks back, confused. Should we go to that place? She asks, and grins as the light swallows her whole. Now, an ancient-looking company wiki page loads up, all pixelated banners and old-school menus. A red potion sits waiting in the corner, glowing like it already knows where they're headed. Cut to the team dinner. Someone calls out to him at the bar, all mock-friendly, reaching for his shoulder. Solyum barely reacts, drink untouched in front of him. In his head, though, he's already somewhere else, scanning for anywhere better to look. Then he sees it. One face at the table isn't a face at all. White scales, slit red eyes, a tongue curling past a grin that never should move like that. The grill keeps sizzling like nothing happened. Is he really the only one seeing this? Because nobody else at the table so much as blinks. Well, around him, the dinner rolls on exactly as festive as it looks from the outside. Laughing, drinks poured, nobody the wiser. He just goes quiet. His eyes narrow on the man in white beside him. How many other faces at this table aren't real? Turns out there's a reason for that. A title card flashes up on it. One defining trait of every daydream employee, about to get explained. Somewhere in his memory, an old ghost story surfaces to make the point. A grinning cat mascot boots a man off a rooftop into a jagged blue monster below. The lesson's blunt. The higher your rank, the nastier your gear gets. Of course, the illustration comes half-censored. A nude cartoon deer mascot gets crossed out in red. Then it pops back stitched up, patched, and decently dressed. Someone reacts with a startled little "oh." Small mercies, apparently. Meanwhile, Seihan and Solyum look up at whatever looms over them from the shadows above. Haje's the calm one, explaining, dead serious despite the clawed shape hanging over the group. Those ghost stories, she says. The company calls them Twilight Rank. Right, Solyum thinks. That tracks. Of course you build the gear out of the ghost story instead of from scratch. He runs through what he remembers. The old field team used 3 Twilight Rank stories for gear. A toy maker, a ritual offering, and one more he's still weighing. Which one's he going to get stuck with? Turns out the room he needs is easy to find. 2 figures head down the hall together. Ah, here it is, Seihan says up ahead, pleased. Solyum's sidelong glance is anything but relaxed. A masked figure looms behind an information desk, sunglasses under the hood, and doesn't sound thrilled to see them. An employee, he says, like the word itself, is suspect. Nobody answers right away. Somewhere under all that silence, a heartbeat pounds. Honestly, the hallway that follows doesn't help anyone's nerves. Bold text flashes over a row of lockers. Then the group swallowed by an empty corridor, fluorescent lights flickering into the dark. Somewhere in there, a face catches warped in a curved reflection. Dust drifts through the air like the place is already half abandoned. They reach it at last. Door number 99, heavy, bolted, built to keep something in. A strange sound rattles out of the dark overhead and Solyum's head snaps up. He goes still, tie straight, face composed, giving nothing away. Inside sits the friendly seed kit. It's a rusted machine glowing purple, buried in real flowers despite the sign screwed above it. Its ghost treats anything as a plant, pulling out traits to crossbreed and sow into something new. It runs on moonlight. Well, it's a darkness our department uses almost exclusively. Sahyan grins, sharp-eyed and pleased with himself. Haje just looks wary. Now the real question. Does using this cost points? Yes, straight up. 1,000 points a use, and it knocks the wind out of Solyum. If the job needs this equipment, shouldn't the company just provide it? Solyum's the one asking, unease flickering under the fluorescent lights. He gets half a startled smile back instead of an answer. So, what do you want to do, Rodir? Lee Jahin asks from behind him. Spending 1,000 points out of pocket feels wasteful, but he trails off on purpose. There has to be a reason the manager already called this thing useful, Solium thinks. What's Lee actually planning? So the manager stands back and watches, hands laced behind him. Solium doesn't wait for the moment to feel right. I'll use it now. He pulls the item out, running the manager's own words back through his head. Put two things into this darkness, and it fuses their traits into something new. Color swirls inside the dark like the idea is still deciding what it wants to be. Now one of the seniors walks him through the fine print. The materials need real abilities of their own, and nothing gets lost in the trade. Or, he adds with a smirk, you can just pay to borrow someone else's gear. Naturally, the other two turn the question on someone else. One points out their manager's gear beats everyone else's and asks to see it firsthand. He produces something small, almost too small to matter. This is what threw the AAA battery, someone says, turning it over in his hand. Turns out it isn't defensive at all, and he says so straight out. Then he turns the question on them. Mine lets me pull off a few tricks, comes the easy answer. Meanwhile, Hajay clocks it fast. Neither rookie has anything defensive, and she's already thinking where to look next. Cut to the machine itself, a knife laid flat on a glowing green grid. Numbers climb across it in cold percentages, reading the blade like a body on a table. A flash of red-white light snaps beside him, and he flinches sideways. The display is blunt about it. Insert the item, no real plants ever. Rods shift into place, waiting. You must never insert a real plant, Hajay says again, flat. Her fist stays clenched at her hip the whole time she says it. Her face gives nothing away, which somehow says more than her voice does. For a second, the memory behind that rule flashes red, branching like something torn from the root. What happened to whoever broke it first, he wonders. Nobody explains it. Solium turns his back to the room, an old scalpel tool weighing in his palm. Even if that's the case, I'll accept it, he decides. Truth is, he's been running through his own inventory since he walked in. Of course, none of it matters much. Not the battered tin box, not the eat me cookie, not the sticker pack. He grades them anyway, fast. I'm going to insert this. Out comes the old silver coin from the Cosmic Shopping Mall, saved since way back. He smirks, straightening his cuff, already making his case. Just a travel souvenir, he says. Something about it felt right. It's small, easy to pocket, and nobody looks twice at a coin. Three of them huddle close. Did the manager clock it as an item? Solium wonders, throat tight. A coin's just a coin, someone mutters, not suspicious at all. The reptile-faced section chief paces below, unaware of the swap. Solium still isn't sure if he noticed. So Solium turns the glowing blade in his grip, watching it flare red in the dark. Somewhere behind him, a pair of eyes blinks open. He figures a coin won't look too suspicious anyway. Then the machine answers with a sharp crack. Now the system takes over. Green code crawling across his chest. Verifying it reads, numbers spinning past 99%. Deep in the lab, glass vials flare green. The two items' traits are already merging. Meanwhile, the screen dissolves into smoke and drifting light. Something streaks down toward a sealed tank marked no plants allowed. The warning doesn't matter. So incomplete, the display flashes anyway. Turns out, it pays off. The system flashes a congratulations. First customization unlocked, codenamed Roe Deer. The light settles into drifting dust and the room goes quiet again. Well, the chamber empties out, one last shape still hanging in the glow behind them. Hajay looks him over with a knowing smirk, telling him he did good today. Get some rest, she says. She'll see him tomorrow. Honestly, by the time he's home, he's barely upright, tie half off, collar hanging open. One brutal errand, done. Naturally, his mind replays the whole trade before he can rest. Two items went into that machine, Section Chief Lizard's butter knife and a coin. On screen, the blade dissolves into the coin in a wash of green light. He turns the coin over, unimpressed, waiting for it to do something. Of course, doubt creeps in right on cue. Did the gacha just hand him a cheap toy coin? There goes his 1,000 points, he thinks. He digs into his jacket pocket for a closer look. Tweezers ready. Behind him, unseen, a pale hand reaches down with a soft snip. Faint scratch marks streak the wall behind him, and he still hasn't noticed. Then a translucent hand looms over his head. What's this, he blurts, and the room jolts with a burst of static shock. Just like that, the panic drops into cartoon mode. A cat-shaped paw taps his cheek, and a donation alert pings across the screen. Kim Solim, 101, it reads. Somehow that's worse. Deep gouges cut into the wood where the paw swiped. No joke after all. A shadow dark hand rises silently by his foot. Time to test what this new equipment can actually do. Turns out the ghost was never a ghost. A glowing spectral hand hovers by the desk, matching his own equipment's shape exactly. Is this the ability of this custom equipment? He raises his hand, watches the copy rise with it, and clenches the glowing fist tight. Now he puts the new gear to a real test. Solium grips a pen with his own hand. Beside it, the glowing spectral hand writes on its own. It traces the same clean stroke Section Chief Lizard once drew with a knife at his own collar. He presses a palm to a shimmering mirror wall and confirms it for himself. This gear works easier once you're actually standing inside a ghost story. Honestly, his go bag reads like fan merch. A memorial grip talk, a smile sticker, an alien pin, plus his phone, his badge, a cookie, 2 lucky coins. At night, a voice yanks him upright in bed. Work harder, it says, or pay back the 1,000 points somebody sank into him. Is he ever going to finish paying that off? He wakes with a jolt, alone in the dark. Turns out the memory that keeps him standing isn't the gear. It's Chief Park Min-sung, laughing over drinks, calm even the day death had him cornered. It's assistant manager Ha Jae too, who trusted a rookie enough to lend her own equipment mid-emergency. He doesn't know how many more ghost stories are coming. Maybe, just maybe, he can actually get through this. For one night, it's just 3 of them, pouring drinks, laughing like they'd made it out. Or so he thought, once upon a time. Well, back at his actual desk, the nameplate behind him doesn't even carry his name. It reads scrap paper. Scrap paper? Is he really worth that little on day 3? Naturally, his phone lights up next. A fox sticker cackling, then a deer sticker cackling right back. Somebody's firing off gibberish emoji speak like it's a contest. Then one message lands wrong, and his face goes dead-eyed, twitching. 3rd day on the job, and this is really what people text him. Meanwhile, across the office, a coworker scowls while someone else just lounges behind him. The cat mascot cheers over the speakers. A team just pulled off an A rank. Special incident cleared, 100,000 points awarded. The chick mascot picks it up next. Stop worrying about your lives, it chirps. Rush into ghost stories like moths to a flame. Then it's Team D on the coin pile, propped up as the model to copy. Want a wish ticket? Follow their example. The blue-haired coworker grits her teeth. Yes, she forces out. Just like that, he tears his own collar open. Blood already speckles the shirt, and he grins like he means it. Beside him, another agent stands stone still in a blizzard of shredded paper. One smear of blood on his cheek, unbothered. Somewhere off panel, panic cracks through. Is there some kind of loophole here? From the shadows, something answers. Complete manual or not, it says. People still die in these stories. 2 bystanders just stare up at him, shibby flat, unimpressed. Oh, is that so? Of course, the torn ID cards say it all. Abyss Transportation Corp, Daydream Co. Limited, printed right on the badge. This is what happens when a company just throws brute force at a ghost story until it breaks. The suited man confirms it with one flat word: yes. Naturally, it doesn't end there. A brown-haired man gasps. A blue-haired woman glares hard at something on the ground. Then a burst of purple energy flashes right beside them, and both flinch. The last burst of purple light fades behind them. Park Min-sung and Ha Jae are still buzzing off it. 15 F-rank clears in a row, and their eyes have gone glassy with it. Honestly, they look like gamblers chasing one more win. Solium watches, narrow-eyed. Should he stop them? Of course, that's when the banner drops. A triple points event, gold and sparkling, time to keep the high going. Now the crew's already moving. A masked colleague up front in a company lanyard. Someone calls the group forward, and fists clench on the walk out. They're not chasing survival anymore. They're chasing more. Turns out Solium knows this building better than any tour guide would. Floors 17 through 20 belong to development headquarters, he tells Ha Jae. They pass a corridor lined with glowing scout pods. That's where research staff hunt down new darkness before anyone else even knows it exists. Meanwhile, the office isn't ready for them. A desk worker flips upside down in shock at an empty chair. Then she freezes at what's standing behind Solium, a masked, bandage-wrapped figure with one red eye showing. A short, startled sound is all she manages. Solium just stands there while people keep staring at him. So I'm basically a celebrity now, he deadpans, flat as ever. Naturally, Jaehyun's watching from somewhere close, wearing that same knowing smile. Nearby, a hand closes tight around a red cord, unseen, unexplained. Well, floor 17 has its own welcome committee. A lab-coated staffer waves them in, smile wide and practiced. By the time night falls, Solium's still tense, eyes narrowed at the sky. Footsteps close in behind him. Who's there? Nice to meet you, the stranger beams. White hair, glasses, lab coat gleaming under the lights. Solium's stomach drops the second the name lands. Guak Chagang. Ha Jae waves it off before he can spiral. He's just a lowly section chief, nothing to fear. Of course, the section chief's smile doesn't slip either. He glances back, gives a small wave, sly at the edges. For now, he tells himself, act natural. Solium catches the flicker anyway, and something in him goes cold. Something colder is moving through the building besides him, though. A suited figure stands too close to the dark for comfort. Somewhere far from floor 17, hands set chess pieces onto a box crawling with painted mouths and eyes. It's a game, and Team D's just pieces on the board. Once they finish scouting the new darkness and report back, the next move starts. Back on the floor, a masked figure flips through paperwork. The reptilian mask catches the light, teeth bared in a permanent grin. Ha Jae watches him work, jaw tight. So a younger teammate grumbles about some jerk mouthing off who isn't even on the field team. Senior, watch your face, he hisses. Solium's expression flickers before he can catch it. Excuse me, he says, and turns on them, sharp. The lab coat man, unmistakably Guak, smirks and points straight at him. Solium's blood runs cold. What? Honestly, Guak's smile cracks when his screen flashes. He laughs too loud. Then he flips his badge shut and lifts a folder instead. On his own screen, Solium taps a clip tagged clown. Huh? If you're ready, a voice says, and the room goes black. Blood-red music notes drip above a curtain, a warning nobody asked for. So the curtain lifts on a clown twice his size, all grin. The screen zooms in on a mouthful of jagged teeth. The static glitches, and a grotesque red-nosed face leers through it. It won't hold still, tearing apart and reforming. Dark stains spread near the mouth, then one red eye burns through the noise before it dies. Something clawed flickers in and out of the frame, all blade and static. Hands rip a jacket open, checking for a wound underneath. Claw marks score red, and a hand claws up out of the water to grab another. The clip dies mid-sentence, right on the word definitely. In the footage, a lab worker freezes as a black clawed hand grips his chair. Someone crouches over something red, face hidden, and doesn't move. Then the claw reaches straight out of the screen, right at him. Meanwhile, Jaehyun barges in, already loosening his tie. "Excuse me," he says, grinning like the horror never happened. Turns out the real emergency is the 3x points event, still running. A pink clawed hand looms over his shoulder while he begs to cancel it. A shockwave rips through the noise, and that same grin looms back into view. Screaming and laughing blur into one sound across the floor. No telling which is which. Now a system tag flashes above a masked figure. "Pero hates you." From inside an ornate frame, the painted clown grins straight down at him. A new case file opens under Daydream's Darkness Exploration Records, code QTERW D210. What is he walking into this time? His eye flashes pink for a second, never a good sign. The corridor just keeps going, clown portraits stacked wall to wall, a senior looming ahead of him. Daydream already has a name filed for this one, a ghost story of wandering forever. Then he clocks it. Wait, is that even paint? A stranger's tie pulled taut, a scarred glare through wild red hair, a masked shape framed in a doorway glowing red. Whatever's really under that paint, nobody in the hallway says it out loud. Naturally, he'll admit it later, he had zero idea this would feel like a full-blown horror movie. Just getting through the door nearly killed him. Honestly, he tells himself it's fine, not even that dark. Now a senior in red rounds on him with a grin. "Close your eyes, 60 seconds. Got it, 60 seconds, he chirps back, way too cheerful for a haunted hallway. Inside his head, it's panic. Wait, are these people serious? One of the portraits isn't like the others, its painted face turning to watch him. "Ro dear, close your eyes too," the senior orders. "Yes sir." Turns out you can just choose not to look. Jaehyun Lee squints at two of the portraits and mutters, "These guys and the lizard." To be fair, from this angle the horror just looks confused. Blood's already drying on his jacket, and he still isn't scared. Meanwhile, somewhere in memory, one of them just sits on a train, snacking through the whole ordeal. Another laughs, pointing, while a third rides it out with his arms crossed, eyes shut. Now, back at HQ, a report reaches the reptilian section chief. A few civilians, apparently, already made it back through empty frames. His order comes back flat. "Poke every portrait you see." The subordinates confirm they'll repeat the attempt on a loop. Yes sir, they crawl," someone adds. "Slow ones, so it should be fine." Back in the corridor, someone points out a clown with strange eyes, calls it something off a poster. Then it's quiet again, just a tie, just tension building. "You can open your eyes now," someone tells him, so he does, sweating. The hallway ahead is empty, frame after frame, just glass and red light. Then one of them isn't empty, a grinning face with glowing white eyes staring straight down at him. One of them turns away fast, hands jammed in his pockets, forcing calm. He walks right past a ghost face bleeding out of the wall and says nothing at all. Then the masked senior rounds on him. "Ro dear," he says, "want to touch that one first?" Solnum lets the question hang, silence stretching thick under the rows of portraits. Then he cuts it dead, flat and sure. He's found the way out. Baek Sae-hun and the others just stare at him, the little round mascot frozen stiff between them. Solium doesn't blink, not looking back, not once. Light rips upward through the corridor like a flare going off. "Let's go," he calls out. The plan is live. He lifts a hand, and it isn't just his hand anymore, shadow curling from his fingers. In his palm, the engraved coin burns pink and white. What exactly is he calling up this time? His fist tightens on the coat collar as something huge gathers at his back. The panel burns to a flat, wordless red, nothing left to say. Chapter's over, right there. New chapter, same beat, no pause for breath. Domino mask up, he holds the coin high, then flings it in one clean motion. It cracks through the air trailing light, the hand mark spinning end over end. It lands on a tabletop somewhere quiet and just sits there, glowing pale against the dark wood. So a colleague straightens his coat and eyes the coin with open curiosity. Is that Rodir's own gear? She wants to know. Someone off in the fog confirms it, though they'll need a few more pieces yet. Honestly, somewhere a screen lights up with the news. Kim Solum just donated 501. Fireworks explode over the number like it's a jackpot payout. Hearts bloom across every framed photo on the walls. He reaches back toward the shadow hand like it's an old friend greeting him. Hearts float lazily around it. Down the hall, the same hand looms twice the size now, swallowing the whole corridor in shadow. How much bigger does this thing actually get, Solum wonders. Oh ho, somebody breathes out, not quite believing the size of it. Baek Sae-hun leans in close, grinning like he already knows the answer. Does Rodir's whole clearing trick run on that hand? He wants to know. Yes, Solium answers simply, hand still raised, nothing more to add. Turns out these portraits were never just decor hanging on a wall. One frame in that whole gallery of leering faces is the real exit. A cracked shard glows beside it, faint white and pink. Proof enough? The clown-faced one lays out the rule with an easy smile. Touch the wrong face and it pops loose and starts to crawl. A ringed hand rises among the cloaked line. The section chief's mask stays blank white under the red light. Now a trembling servant begs the section chief for a yes, please, please, over and over again. Behind that human face, the answer comes from something else entirely. Section chief lizard, scales and all, just says yes, totally normal. Behind them, 3 more stand with their backs turned to everything. One has both arms lifted, like he's surrendering to something unseen. Sorry guys, the caption reads. Blood already dripping slow down the edge of the frame. Something detonates off panel without warning. Jagged red bursts swallow the frame completely. Then a voice cuts through the smoke, correcting itself fast. Just like that, the panic was for nothing. They don't have to run after all. Meanwhile, one face in the crowd is a stranger, piercings lining his ear and jaw, saying nothing. Team D's still poking every portrait like tourists, daring the paint to move. One clown flinches back mid-shriek. Then a clown's face shoves halfway out of its frame, grinning. I just wanted to be friends, it says, mock hurt. Behind it, a man's already dead on the floor, not a mark on him. He was fine 1 second, not the next. Somewhere past the frame, a single red eye locks onto them, unblinking. Above their heads, the mission clock just keeps climbing, 4 minutes 29 seconds and counting. A masked clown lunges into view, thrilled, calling it a speedrun challenge now. Meanwhile, back at the office, people are already asking Guac what grade this run's going to pull. Behind him, manager Lee just watches, arms crossed, quiet. And somewhere in the gossip, this guy's already that annoying new recruit. Some are still asking if his name was really Kim Sol-yoon. In the shadows, Baek Sahan narrows one glowing yellow eye on him, reassessing. Honestly, there's already an anonymous betting pool running on whether he survives. One entry just hopes he dies in there. Someone else calls the bettors stupid fools. Lee just smirks. Luck gets some people out alive too. So the group does make it back, through the empty frame the clown left behind. But every survivor's account of the hallway is different. Size, layout, which frame let out. The only way through is trial and error, again and again. Of course, the clowns don't stay still for long, shaking loose from their frames. People fight them off, burning through every bit of stamina they've got. One man just smirks, thinking nobody knows the right frame, so they'll all run in circles. His grin still stretched wide when blood hits his own collar. He tips his head back laughing, right as claws rake his throat. Then he's gone, thrown down the stairwell, tumbling. Naturally, back at the office, coworkers keep offering Ha-Jae coffee over it. She just shrugs it off. Guac wonders if Section Chief Lee's smash everything method worked again. Guess so. Back in the dark, Rodeer grips his own torn jacket, shadow tendrils curling near his hand. Is that blood his, or something else's? What just latched onto him? Nearby, someone narrows one glowing green eye, murmurs, Elsewhere, someone else answers a fresh order with a flat understood, sweat betraying the calm. Now dark card-like emblems scatter loose in the gloom, nobody's hand on them, and on a static warp screen, the clown's already talking again, right? Turns out, one clown in this gallery doesn't bite. The Puro juggles glowing orbs for nobody. Painted tears frozen under monochrome makeup. Word is it hates people too much to bother chasing them. He keeps 3 careful meters between himself and the frame. The ghost hand does the touching instead of his real one. The portrait answers back. A hatted man, eyes shut, waiting. Back in the office, Jaehyun delivers the report from the window, calm as ever. That's all, he says. A suited manager takes it in, flanked by 2 seniors who don't blink. Of course, 30 minutes in, on his very first exploration, and the rookie's already cracked it. Guac's smile stays put, but the sweat on his collar doesn't lie. Someone murmurs their team leader can just see the pattern, no math needed. His eyes glint sharper in the shadow, tracking every detail. The grin spreads, hungry now. He's already planning the next test. A gloved hand offers him a folder from somewhere out of frame. He takes it smiling, easy as ever, like it's a gift. Meanwhile, across the office, a green-haired team leader sits sweating at his desk. A shadow looms over him, hand raised like a threat. Baek Sahyun smirks. Someone wants that item back, the one he pulled from the darkness. No warm-up. A hand cracks across his face before he can answer. He just stands there stunned, hair a mess, mouth open. Back with the rookie, Jaehyun studies him for a long second. He asks if he ever picked up a business card at orientation. Sol-yoon deflects fast. Still just a new recruit, barely has one of those. Well, that answer doesn't land. Jaehyun's smile doesn't move. Not that, he says. You know what I mean. Then, without warning, an envelope starts glowing right there on his desk. His stomach drops before he even manages to open it. Inside sits the business card, the exact one from orientation, the one he never handed to anyone. He stares up at the hooded figure beside him, city lights glittering behind them both. How did this guy know about that card? Now someone's shoving a number at him, telling him flatly to just call it already. What's the catch this time, he wonders, before he even answers. No thanks, he says, flat as ever. Jaehyun blinks, actually surprised. Oh, really, he says, already pressing for the real reason. Now the white-haired man just grins, waiting him out. Manager Lee gets a straight answer. Faster points just means worse assignments. Of course, that answer comes with a sleepless night counter blinking beside him, and Manager Lee just stares, baffled. Turns out, the story just cuts on a burst of gold light, a clean scene break. Then it's Solium shrunk down to chibi size, staring at a comically tiny scary drawing. Honestly, he decides right there, anything scarier than that is somebody else's problem. Well, he's already scrolling for something easier, and only his phone shows him the answer. It's a hidden wiki. Ghost stories filed under 4 cowards only, visible to no one else. Why does this story keep building tools just for him? The screen flashes clear, plus P stacking up twice in a row. 5,200 points, banked and counted. Just like that, cowardice pays. Then his whole face goes cold. The crazy bastard acts sliding into place. Wanna bet how many civilians died in there? He asks, flat, one eye flashing red. Right after, in his head, the truth surfaces. He only provoked the guy to keep the persona alive. Meanwhile, back at his desk with a coffee in hand, life looks almost normal. Somebody notes it out loud. His clear times keep hitting record pace lately. The stamped clear reports just keep piling on top of each other, one after another. Naturally, Haja just leans back, chin on her hands, smiling like she's already 3 steps ahead of him. Across the room, Guak just smiles to himself. Something's already decided. I just have to endure it, he says, calm, like the choice was never his. A countdown flashes past the hour mark. Another team just escaped clean. Again. Honestly, somewhere nearby, a rival grits his teeth. He mutters, still grinding. Then Guak turns on Manager Lee, needling him with a question that isn't really a question. Lee flinches in his seat, sweat breaking, the office assistant standing stiff right behind him. Guak taps the report and asks what exactly the problem is, almost too gently. So a smirking exec drops the news. Team D's hot streak just earned a pairing with Team A. Behind him looms a giant white chess king marked A, Jahyun Lee and Hajae standing right in its shadow. A fist just drops out of pure light, swallowed straight into the dark. Beneath a white chess queen, the warning glows plain. Some tasks require sacrifices. Of course, somewhere close, a masked man exhales a slow, ugly laugh. Solium's antler mask snaps up, alert. What just moved out there? A cluster of masked figures files past in matching suits, silent, moving like they've done this 100 times. A masked face holds still. Under harsh, tilted light, Solium asks if they're entering with other teams today. It seems so, she says, then catches herself, a soft aha slipping out. Somewhere, a hand taps twice. Right behind Jae-hun Lee, a clawed shadow reaches for the back of his head. He has no idea, and you'd want to warn him, wouldn't you? One of the masked strangers calls him a young man with a bright future, then smiles wider. Let's catch up sometime, he says, easy, like they're already old friends. So Jae-hun nods toward 2 gold-masked employees across the room. One wears an insect mask, antennae, and goggle eyes. The other's mask is shaped like a butterfly, purple hair spilling down her back. Keep a close eye on them, he tells Solium, flat and quiet. His blue-haired teammate stands close, both already masked for what's ahead. Light flashes hard, and the scene cuts away without warning. A goggled Team A staffer smirks at the newcomer, already sizing him up. Now Jae-hun clasps his hands together, drawing everyone's attention. These are the members of Team A, he says, then keeps going. There's more he wants Solium to see. 4 of them stand in a line, masked, mismatched. One catches Solium's eye, a woman with a single curved horn on her mask. Brown hair falls past her collar, she won't look up. That person, he thinks. He saw her at the welcome party. He can't place why the memory stings. But one question surfaces anyway. Can you actually bring a dead person back to life? Jae-hun says he'll explain later if anyone's curious. For now, he leaves it hanging in the air. Understood, someone answers for both of them. 2 masked men fall back into line. Naturally, Guak steps in next, lab coat on, grin wide as ever. He's got very little to tell them, he says. And that's already the problem. What does that mean, Manager Guak? Someone presses, smirking despite the tension. He won't drop it either, so the research team knows nothing too, he says flatly. Jae-hun just sweats beside him, saying nothing. Well, sir, the blue-haired woman starts, but the brown-haired man cuts her off, finger to his lips. That's enough of that. Solium stays quiet, mask hiding a face that gives nothing away. Stillness? It's the safest move he knows. Meanwhile, a system window opens anyway, spelling out a rule nobody wanted. Minimum 10 people to enter. Guak's smirk sharpens slowly behind his glasses, satisfied. He's been waiting for exactly this complication. A voice cuts through the room. The large-scale darkness briefing starts now. Behind it, a banner unrolls bright and cheerful Gaiety theme park, a joyful fantasy trip. The screen splits, then fades to black. Turns out this one starts with a headline. 12 students vanish during a club retreat, no explanation given. The trap has a name, a board game called Gaiety Theme Park. It's presumed to have been built by Gaiety Lab itself. Now, the accounts don't even agree. Survivors swear the game was already inside the pension. The owner swears it wasn't. Jae-hun lifts the board to his face, smirking. He says it was about time this showed up. A lab worker's grin falters over the fine print. Conditions of all things. Nobody warned him about that. A hand slams the yellow folder down hard, motion blurring. Whatever's coming, it's already begun. A reptile masked handler holds out a locked locked silver orb, keyhole and all. Solium takes it. The red bead at his throat flares hot. Now the reptile masked host explains the rules. Unfold the board, then play. Two Team A members grip their palms. Small, blood red. Honestly, Guak grins, tugging a thread of red light from his own black orb. Across the room, Solium spots a butterfly mask and freezes. Her, here, now. Meanwhile, Jae-hun reaches for that same orb, floating in a rainbow-lit ruin. A boot drops feet first into a swirling vortex, coffin-shaped shards spinning past. The tunnel spirals inward. Jae-hun tumbles through the air with Solium and two masked teammates all mid-fall together. One masked man grabs for a long-haired figure, fingers closing on fabric mid-drop. No one lets go. Turns out Guak is the one waving them off, grinning ear to ear. Have a fun trip, he calls, and the trap finally makes sense. One masked man's breath catches that guy again. The vortex swallows the moment, shards of light streaming into the dark. Then it's gone. Naturally, the file calls him a mad scientist obsessed with ghost stories. He engineers deadly combinations on purpose, just to harvest data from the dead. Somewhere else, hands claw upward toward a shadow, blood already pooling on the floor. A man groans in pain, while a woman watches him, smiling like nothing's wrong. Another clutches his own face, shaking, an amusement park glowing behind him. The park itself opens wide, red balloons drifting past candy-colored castle towers. A lone man stands facing it all, back turned, hands in his pockets. A child rides a rabbit mask mascot's shoulders, laughing under drifting balloons. A horned figure watches from beside the wheel. Is this really just a park? One red balloon drifts alone against the sky, and the music turns quiet. So, a large group went in for this one, Elite Team A included. The butterfly masked woman stands at the center of it, blue nails folded still. But the backup wasn't elite at all, just Team D and Team Y. And the extra body they added was a researcher who'd never cleared one before. A man collapses on the tile, clutching his head, sweat soaking his collar. Someone else goes down in the dark, red streaks slashing across the frame. It's a setup, he realizes, built to kill everyone except one. Except Team A. Every other name on this roster is marked to die. Meanwhile, balloons drift past a candy-colored castle, Ferris wheel turning like nothing is wrong. Then the sky flips from black to cheerful blue, all whistling music and clouds. A scream cuts through it as something crashes down from above. A masked man steadies himself among the balloons, deer antlers curling from his mask. He crouches low, running a hand across the tile. It's here, as expected. A record window blinks open. Gaiety Theme Park, Darkness Grade B, run by Daydream Company. It's famous for one thing, a survivor's guide. People wrote it while they were already losing their minds inside. So the question the guide never answers straight, civilian survival rate. Whatever survivors made it out probably did it on luck alone. What happens to Team D then? Nearby, a man in a suit goes rigid, throat-locking around a sound with no word. Is he losing it, or is something being lost inside him? Then his arm whips out, eyes gone black at the edges, screaming to be let out. Two rabbit-costumed figures stand on the wall above it all. This is wrong, one screams. This is fucking wrong. Turns out a scream can be swallowed before it escapes. A hand slams over his mouth, hard and sudden. Be quiet, the masked man breathes, holding him still. Rabbit-eared shadows ripple across a glossy red surface nearby. Balloons overhead throw shapes that look like grasping hands. None of it belongs in a place this cheerful. A hand closes over another man's mouth from behind, and he freezes wide-eyed. A rabbit-masked figure looms in close, grin fixed and never moving. More of them wait behind it, silent. Now rabbit-masked heads peer out over the rooftops below. The grain thickens around them. Then, black. Grinning rabbit faces press against a window somewhere in the dark. Then a red balloon drifts against blue sky, and the memory starts. In the memory, a man in a rabbit costume carries a small boy on his shoulders. Both of them laugh, balloons bobbing all around. While that grip on the boy's shoulder isn't playful anymore. The kid winces, a small pained sound escaping him. The happy colors blur, and unease creeps back in. A masked man in a domino mask stands still by the wheel. A woman's dark hair whips past him, and everything holds its breath. Then she's struck, blood at her lips as she falls. Near the Ferris wheel, a butterfly masked figure's fist is already swinging. Another masked watcher frozen behind her. The impact hasn't landed, not yet. The mask doesn't even move. One sharp eye catches the light, calm like nothing just landed near her. Meanwhile, someone off to the side asks if he got it. He says nothing back. Nearby, a hooded man shakes on his knees. Something huge and white uncoils above the towers, quiet as fog. Two guys throw a fist pump like nobody told them to be scared. You'd think something that size would rate more than a shrug. One of them just grins over his drink while a clawed shadow stretches overhead. Our boy stands blank-faced next to a rabbit mascot humming to itself. A banner drops in, Gaiety Theme Park, a joyful fantasy trip. Rule 3, right under it, no crying, no wailing, no screaming. So what happens if you break it? Of course, some guy in glasses lines up at a machine called Fun Utopia, buzzing to try it. A masked figure with one glowing red eye just watches. It's expensive, some somebody mutters. "You're the entrance exam's top graduate, right?" someone asks, stopping him cold. The butterfly mask looks him over and calls his judgment decent. He listens, quiet, posture stiff in the suit. He thanks her as butterfly mask. She corrects him flat, assistant manager Jin. He just nods. Understood. Something needles at him though. That ruthless move earlier, that odd last name. A beat of quiet passes. Then it clicks. Could this be assistant manager Jin Na Sol? Turns out power like hers costs something. She straightens her collar, calm as ever. Gaining it costs you a piece of your own humanity, she says. Now someone asks if he got his exclusive gear yet. Yes, he says. A finger built for remote touch. It comes with its own activation conditions. For a second her swing looks wide, off. Then her turn finishes and the blade's already there. It comes down clean onto a hooded man's knife before he can even lift it. Somewhere else, a masked figure just stands there, watching it land back to us. On the ground, the man blinks up, dazed, sweating. Honestly, he still has no idea what exclusive equipment even is. Meanwhile, the sky cuts back to sunny, a red balloon drifting past. A masked woman glances back sharp, walking beside a man with his hair tied back. He just stands there taking in the new ground, quiet. A festival ticket flashes by, stamped with a grinning bunny. "Thanks for the explanation, Solyum," someone calls over the balloons. Nearby, a giant rabbit mascot cracks up over a bucket of popcorn. Two mini rabbits trail behind it, same fixed grin. So Solyum finally asks the question he's been sitting on. Her name, she's Jang Heun, Team Y. He gives his own back, Kim Solyum, Team D. This is his first deployment at this scale, and it shows. "Me too," she says, quiet. They stand watching the city together, balloons rising behind them. Then she asks what kind of darkness he faced before this one. Solyum goes silent. What is there even to say? A command flashes across the sky. "Raise your left hand." Somewhere close, a man obeys, wind and light tearing at his face as he strains against it. A bystander gasps at what happens next. His own hand's gone gray, clawed, not his anymore. My hand. Hyoen's eyes narrow at it, moving on its own. Nothing about that normal. A red glow bleeds in at the edge of frame. Somewhere behind it, a tie hangs loose, breath still catching. Turns out that's the real answer. Team Y is a cleanup team, full stop. It's built from people with flaws that disqualify them from real exploration work. That's also why the Y special teams get tagged with the alphabet's tail end, XYZ. Now Daydream Company sorts every field team alphabetically, and the letters aren't just decoration. A, B, and C are the elite tier, gold stamped untouchable. D through W are just normal, Solyum's own Team D included. Inside a darkness, the rule is absolute. Cleanup teams obey elite teams. No arguing, no exceptions. Solyum watches it play out in front of him. Is this really what people signed up for? These people are spare lives, handed to Team A to spend however they like. A woman's nails, blue-tipped and sharp, close over the front of his suit. Her voice stays cold. "They're all going to die in here anyway, so don't bother making friends." Her eye glows pink behind the mask. Then the memory surfaces, her own words from before. The top graduate, the one with real potential, unlike them. Then there's the horned man, not part of the conversation, just watching, one corner of his mouth curled up. Unreadable. Meanwhile, someone calls out for assistant manager Jin. Another voice cuts in, apologetic but stubborn. He's less scared with more people around, whatever anyone says. Over there, someone points. A haunted house attraction, rabbit mascots grinning out front. A hand drifts up toward a balloon string. Behind the mask, one purple eye tracks it, giving nothing away. Just like that, the scene dissolves into confetti and streamers. A red balloon drifts against a bright sky like nothing here is wrong. A banner crowns the plaza, joyful theme park, all balloons and grins. Solyum reads it and says the parade starting, the air now loud with music. A golden float rolls past, dancers waving from a sunburst wheel. A rabbit twice his height fills the square next, bigger than the castle. Balloons crowd what's left of the sky. At the entrance, a lineup of costumed rabbits and staff in white coats waves guests past a velvet rope. Solyum's smile doesn't reach his eyes. What is this, he wonders, while a marching band blasts trumpets in perfect unison. Honestly, it's more normal than he expected. A second float grinds past on live gears, fireworks cracking overhead. Somewhere behind him, a blonde stranger yelps at nothing. Bad sign. A rabbit hand the size of a bus curls over the street as marchers file past below. Please welcome the parade with a bright smile. A voice crackles overhead. Solyum looks up at the banner above him. The parade train runs with your smiles. Meanwhile, past the rooftops, the haunted house row waits under a thin off-key melody. A gloved hand pushes through a crack in the wall. So join us, it says. What answers is a mascot. A sparkling chipmunk, too cheerful for the dark it just crawled out of. The chipmunk raises one paw and dark spots freckle the ground like something bled here first. Then it smiles and candy and gems burst out in its place. The sound that follows breaks apart in the air. Smile, smile, smile. A young woman's head tilts back into the candy and sparkle, her face hidden at first. When it turns up, she's smiling, soft and strange. Why does she look so calm? That's not calm, that's a mask holding something else down. So, the screen fades soft and pink, flecked with something darker. Then it isn't subtle anymore. Red spreads across the ground in one long stain. A masked figure touches his own cheek, carnival lights washing over a blank, tense face. His hand comes up scarred and wet. Please enjoy it no matter what, the rule insists, and a finger keeps dripping to prove it means it. A ride bursts open in a shower of candy, a plush rabbit grinning through it all. Happy, the sound insists over and over. Nearby, a woman in a butterfly mask lies still in the wreckage of wrappers and sparkle. Well, more rabbit masked figures pose for a crowd that isn't cheering back. One mouth stays stuffed with candy that drips like something worse. Always with a smile, the parade's whole rule spelled out now in letters like torn red cloth. 2 rabbit costumed bodies are flung through the air above the rooftops, blood streaking the sky. Below, Jaehyun just watches, not even a flinch. The blood trail leads down, past a stranger's back, straight to Solyum's tense face. Confetti drifts down over a stranger's blood-soaked suit like nothing happened. Somewhere close, something round rolls across the floor with a wet click. It's an eyeball, resting in a spreading pool between candy wrappers. Blood keeps spreading under the debris, thick and dark, long after the screaming stops. Solyum's eye goes wide, red-rimmed with shock. What is this place asking people to smile through? Ahead, a small figure waits calm behind the barricade tape. Please enjoy the parade, it says, standing in someone else's blood. He forces his legs to keep moving, back straight, hands loose at his sides. Behind him, his own reflection drags a streak of red across the tile. He doesn't look down. Meanwhile, the sky above breaks into scrawled, jagged shapes, candy tumbling through the wreckage of it. Red balloons drift past a sign gone black with stains, still ordering everyone to smile. The theme park's towers rise ahead, lit warm and gold, hiding exactly what's happening underneath. Now the park spells out its real law again. Cheer for every float. Cheer through every corpse, every drop of red. Never let the smile slip. Nazal's status bar flashes above her head. Full health, 3 spare lives standing by. Whatever game this park is really running, she's a piece on the board too. Turns out the parade still has its performers. A rabbit mascot waves a jeweled scepter, candy and confetti spinning around her skirt. Sound effects spell out smile across the frame. For one beat, the rabbit's face just looks cracked, thin as porcelain, nothing worse than that. Then blood pools underneath it. A horned figure drops backward through the confetti, gone before the sound effect even finishes printing. A shadow looms over the wreckage, jagged and black against torn red. Its eyes glow red when it turns, sharp and staring straight at him. Cracks split across its face like a broken doll, stitched skin peeling back over hollow eyes. Stamped over the scene, red letters spell out the same demand. Enjoy it with a smile no matter what. Behind the text, the same grinning figure hangs upside down. A gothic castle glows behind it, candy and gems still drifting like it's all one big party. Outside a haunted house, Solyum freezes, one hand clamped over his mouth. What did they do to people in there? Behind him, a rabbit mascot slumps over the ride rail, head soaked red, cheerful paint sprayed with blood. Glass shatters across the frame, a warning flashing through the cracks. Someone just violated the guidelines. Solyum grits his teeth, sweat beading, holding down the urge to be sick. Don't throw up, Kim Solyum, he tells himself, coughing into his collar, forcing it down anyway. Nearby, a woman starts laughing, tears streaming down her face. Her hands claw at her own hair, laughter cracking into something closer to screaming. Then she whips around and goes still. She bends over, hugging her own head. I'm sorry, she says. I'll calm down right away. Now something catches Rodeer's eye through the mask slit. Below him, rabbit-masked handlers drag a blood-crusted cage past the balloons. Whatever's inside is still moving. One of them stops over a fresh pool of blood and calls out flatly, Mr. Jang Heo-nin! She doesn't answer, just stares at the mess, blood already smeared across her mouth. Then, quiet, yes, gore is hard for her too. A beat of silence hangs over the noise. Then his own eyes go wide behind the mask. A fellow coward. Finally, someone else who's this scared, hiding it just as hard as he is. That relief doesn't last. A blade flashes from nowhere and someone goes down mid-word. Blood spreads fast across the tile, swallowing the confetti whole. Close by, another worker gags at the mess. Gagging over a little thing like this? A voice sneers. The balloons just keep drifting past, like nothing happened. Meanwhile, 3 of them peel off from the crowd. This is exactly why. Jin Sol stands apart in her butterfly mask, ponytail catching the wind. She's ready to lay the whole thing out cold. Psychos, cultists, criminals, she starts. That's who this place was built to hold. Rodeer already knows the next line by heart. A dumping ground for useless trash who can't do the work. The memory blurs into another one. Someone told him once, flat and cold. Take the job, do the job, and quit whining about being scared. Well, he stops mid-step, something clicking into place. Would they even blink, knowing they're just disposable pieces on someone else's board? His collar suddenly feels too tight. Cowards get thrown in here too. Then what does that make him? He's the textbook case, an ultimate coward, and nobody around him knows it yet. Someone else grabs a rookie's collar over it. Fear alone doesn't clear a darkness in an hour, and everyone knows it. Maybe he only got away with his own slip because nobody believed him. That's not simple weakness anymore. The second they clock what he really is, that's a one-way ticket to the cleanup team. Now, Nasol cuts the explanation short. Let's move efficiently. Honestly, she doesn't hide the contempt either. The cowards and the researchers in her book are dead weight, completely useless out here. So nearby, someone tugs at a collar gone suddenly tight, nerves showing plain. The verdict lands cold. Leave them behind, take only the ones who can pull their weight. The butterfly mask turns, claws catching the light. She decides 2 of them will go, and the group splits in half without another word. The scene cuts hard, and a fist lands sharp with the order. Go by yourself, assistant manager. Turns out the butterfly masked woman won't go alone. She starts to say she'll stay instead, and stops mid-word as the group gathers under the tower. Not everyone here looks ready. Now she's working through a guess out loud. Solium's eyes cut to her, red and flat. She won't get far, he warns. Cut the crap, she snaps, and the 2 square off across the open tile. No warning. A spectral hand and her own claws meet in one blur, red threads whipping across the frame, and one of them goes down hard. Somewhere close, a voice trails off at a chalk pale outline on the ground. Solium explains. Everyone drew a game piece entering the dark, and his came up red. Red binds 4 strangers into one team, and 4 civilians survived this park the same way. This bastard, she mutters, a beat behind him working it out. Jaehan just watches, silent and unreadable, close enough to catch every word. How does one survival record add up to 4 exact matches, she wonders. They walk on together. Solium gives ground on his own read of her, admitting she's got a point. She blinks, caught off guard. Meanwhile, the tension eases into something like a truce. She rests a hand on his shoulder and says they'll move together now. The whole group falls in step under a fresh sky of red balloons. A brown-haired girl asks the obvious question, where to next? Off to the side, a light-haired man isn't so sure about the butterfly-masked woman's motives. Honestly, calling someone efficient rarely sounds like a compliment. Our boy gets put on the spot next. He confirms, then quietly wonders why this one detail matters so much. Then the 2 women land on it at the same time. 3 attractions, 3 slots on the wristband. Same number. For now, they'll follow where those slots point. So how about riding an attraction first, someone suggests, with the fairground's Ferris wheel looming over the question. Reasonable enough, Solium says, already wondering which ride is the real trap. Just like that, he and the butterfly-masked woman fall into step, side by side, into the old park. So the fantasy train sign waves them toward the next ride. Solium and Nasol stop together under the plaza's tall clock tower. Which ride in this place doesn't feel like a trap? A rulebook page flickers up, smeared like a bloody handprint. Rule 2. Same color teammates can't drift past 5 meters apart. The same plea loops on the page over and over. It hurts. Please don't get any further away. Somewhere else across the park, a masked girl watches the pair go. She begs them, wordless, stop, warning who, if not Solium and Nasol.